second?
Second.
Thank you very much. So I'm going to read the obligatory opening. In accordance with Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2025, which extends the Governor's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20, until June 30th, 2027, this meeting will be conducted both in person and virtually via Google Meet. To join the meeting online, use meet.google.com/V as in Victor, M as in Mary, V as in Victor, -STOT-QCG. To meet by telephone, call 513-970-0787, PIN number 218-928-967, pound sign. With that, I'll take a roll call. Bob?
Here.
Open meeting. Carl?
Present.
Dwight?
Yes.
And Michael?
Yes.
And Richard votes yes.
Okay.
So the meeting is open.
When you voted present, that's just, you meant yes.
Yes.
So,
I just want to take this opportunity to, actually, I've got 3 introductions to do. First, our new member, Carl, and your last name?
Thompson.
Carl Thompson. And Carl is the new recreation rep, and
welcome.
glad you're here.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Hey, Carl.
Nice to meet you.
Hello, Carl. Can't see you, but hello.
I'm trying to get, well, if you look in the owl, wait a minute, is it, yes,
Those right up top.
he's waving. Okay, anyway, and the other new welcome is to Bridge, who is serving as our chair.
Thank you very much.
And I believe Don will be here. He's not here yet, but he is our new treasurer.
So with that, we have item number 3, update on the Stoughton Motel conversion.
Hi, everyone. Evening, my name is John Lanham with Father Building Mainspring. I'm happy to give you guys an update on our project at 1919 Washington Street, the Stoughton Motel renovation. Quick recap, if anyone's not aware, this former motel is being renovated into 24 units, studio units of permanent supportive housing for people who are formerly homeless. We received about $250,000 of CPC funding back in May 2024 to the town meeting. And really pleased to let you guys know tonight that we are about 96% of the way done on the project. We were hoping to be able to tell you today we were done. We are pretty much everything has been done that our construction team can do. They have just this last week wrapped up all the exterior finishes, so the railings on the second floor, the work on the roof, and some additional siding. Everything that can be done has been completed. The one piece that is outstanding is our connection to permanent power with National Grid. So Senator Driscoll has been very helpful in trying to push them along to get them to come. We were told that this week, and even today, they were supposed to be on site. Unfortunately, they did not show up today, so they still have the rest of the week. So we won't bug them until Monday, but we basically need to get the building connected to permanent power. Once that's done, we have about 4 weeks of work to do, both wrapping up the siding around where the power gets connected, and then really getting all of the fire department inspections, building inspections once permanent power is connected to make sure all the systems are tested. Our tentative date for leasing people up is March 1st right now. That was assuming National Grid showed up this week, because we have, again, about a 4 to 5 week window once that happens to get all the rest of the work completed. But our original date for lease up was April 1st, so we're still technically slightly ahead of our project timeline. We were hoping to get people in sooner, but excited that we're really close to getting this project done. So very much appreciate the CPC support for the project. We had our ribbon cutting back in November because we wanted to get people out to the site while the weather was still good. Appreciate Barry and Mike being there for the project. It was a great event, good response from the town. Just really excited to get this project underway. The property has turned out really nice. The former owners did a great job keeping up with the property and the landscaping. We're glad we were able to keep most of that green space. in place, provide a really nice restful space for the guests and the tenants who are going to be moving in there. And really looking forward to just getting people housed and leased up. So happy to answer any questions you may have, any updates we can give.
Well, this is, oh, go ahead.
I'm just, what a great report. Boy, if they were all like this, it would be nice and easy. So great job. I'm sorry, as far as the hotel is concerned, I see the picture of the house. Is that in the back of the hotel?
That's the back of the house.
Okay,
Yeah.
and is that additional living quarters? Is that,
Yep. So there's 19 apartments that are in the front motel space between the original motel rooms, and then the owners had a house connected to the motel in the back.
okay,
Then there was a separate single-family home in the back that the owners also had. So that was converted into 5 studio apartments as well.
oh, awesome.
Yeah. So in total, 24 units between the
19
two
and 5,
properties.
that's big
Yeah.
at 24. Oh, no, great job.
Yeah.
That house looks beautiful.
Yeah, the construction team did a fantastic job. I mean, the property was very nice to begin with, which we were really appreciative of, and yeah, we were able to just continue to add to it.
For the tenants, are all 24 units a studio apartment? Is the idea to have
Yep, all studio
individuals
apartments.
in the, okay.
An individual adult for each
Yeah,
unit,
yeah.
yeah, so wouldn't be any couples or families
Sure,
in there,
sure.
but yeah, 24 individuals in those spaces. So every unit has an efficiency kitchen, private bathroom. 2 of the units are handicap accessible, one is a sensory impaired unit, and there's laundry on site for guests to use, as well as a case management office and like a front lobby office for our staff that'll be there in the evenings as well.
No, great job. I drive by there all the time, and I just was thrilled that this was happening, so
Yeah,
thank you.
we're excited to be able to bring it online.
Does anyone else have any further questions?
So I'll point out that
Very
this
much.
is one of the few projects we have that's actually ahead of schedule.
We're always excited to have construction. It doesn't happen often, so we appreciate it, yeah.
Thank you.
All right, thank you everyone.
Thank you
Nice
very much.
meeting you.
Thanks again.
Okay. Update on the town hall pocket parks.
Let me take care of that. We got an update form from Mark Tisdale, and he said he would be here, but I can read it. Let me just find it. Okay, if you want, I mean, like, even better, I'll put it up on the screen, I'll let you can see it. Okay. So, permitting plans are 100% complete, construction documents are 90% complete. This is, well, just to back up. This is the project where the town hall is going to be, the exterior is going to be redone, parking is going to be redone, re-landscaped, the traffic flow is going to change. So this was at the last special town meeting at the end of October. Special town meeting voted to approve purchasing the abutting property, which is not a big property, but would help for the town to be able to incorporate it and use it for traffic flow and parking. And the town voted to do that. That is technically still in negotiations with the abutting landowner, although he has agreed to a price. It's not, the ink isn't dried. The documents haven't been signed yet, so it's not official, but what they're doing is the town is redesigning the project to accommodate that additional space. We got a question. Oh, no, somebody wants to come in. Hang on. Oh, it's not. Okay. Welcome, Dawn. So what I was.
Hello?
Hi. What I was saying is, I was talking about the town hall project, and let me go back to screen. Construction hasn't started yet, so really right now, the only thing that needs to be done, the most immediate thing, is that they're redesigning the project to accommodate the neighboring property, and the sale actually has to be finalized. So if anybody has any questions.
So is that,
Is the, okay.
go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I was just, is that the, you're talking about this right here, the house
Yes.
torn down?
Yes.
That's what you're, okay, I
Yes.
just wanted to reference it.
Yes,
What we're talking
yes,
about.
it's that one right there.
That one right there,
Yes.
okay, great.
Okay.
Okay.
Um, So that's it, and Mark didn't feel that there was really enough to talk about to actually come down and explain it in person, so.
That's not gonna affect any of the permitting or the plans?
They've got to redo the plans in order to
Okay, so
incorporate
this,
that piece of property into it.
okay, so 100% complete, 90% complete is going back to the drawing board, if and when they acquire
it's-
the property?
That's a good question. It does say 100% complete, it's
Yeah.
possible that they anticipated and already did it. I don't know, that's a question I can't answer.
Got the shovel ready there.
If you want, I
I'm just, yeah, I
I
just
can
wondered.
email Mark that question, that's a good question.
What was the timeline that was stated for this project?
I'm sorry.
What was the timeline for this project
Um,
to start?
They can start any time
Okay.
because it was approved at last year's
Gotcha.
annual town meeting. But knowing that they were gonna try to buy this property next door, we're kind of holding off till that.
Gotcha, makes sense.
Yeah, let me just make a note to myself.
Comments were made that they didn't want to start the project and then have the 300th anniversary parade and so forth, and this place be torn up.
Right.
So they may delay it till after that, those festivities
Gotcha.
are complete.
Makes sense.
Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so that's basically it. The next update, Dennis, hi Chris.
Hi, how are you?
Katie, principal of Hanson School. Dennis Rigo.
Good evening, my name's Dennis Rigo, I'm the Director of Facilities for the Stoughton Public Schools, and I'm here to provide an update on the Hanson School Playground. Since the last meeting, there's been a few updates where the stone sub base has been installed, and fencing has been installed. The only thing that's been a holdup and due to weather is the flex ground poured in place surfacing that needs to get done. Unfortunately, we need temperatures to not be below freezing for a certain amount of time. We've had a pretty cold December, so that kind of hurt us a little bit on that. And then the other piece is the asphalt removal and install to make it ADA compliant. Currently, it's not at the correct pitch. So that's the only thing we need to do, and we just got to wait for warmer weather to make that happen. In the last meeting, there were some questions about warranties on the trees. I just wanted to give you an update that there are no warranties on the trees, but we do have a good relationship with the nursery that if anything is to happen, they'll swap them up with no issues and no cost.
Can
Did
I
they give
just,
you, excuse me,
oh, no, go ahead.
did they give you a time limit on the trees? If they don't survive within the first year, would they?
Yeah, it'll probably be within the first year.
That's typical.
Yeah, like we'll keep a close eye on it and make sure they're watered properly and everything like that in that first year to make sure that they're healthy, especially if it's a warm summer where we're not getting a lot of rain. We just want to make sure we're on top of that.
And normally I wouldn't interrupt, but this is kind of a segue into the question I had going in. You've got the equipment,
Yep,
but it hasn't been installed yet because you don't have the.
everything's been installed.
It has been
Yeah,
installed.
there's one
Like
piece
today.
that's off to the side.
Yep.
Just because in order to do the rubber pouring surface, that piece has to be off because it covers what it covers on the ground level. So other than that, once the rubber surface is in, the asphalt is in, get that one piece back in and it's up and running.
Okay, it wasn't, yeah.
It'll be once we get the right weather, it'll be really quick before the playground's up and running.
Question. I drove by there today, I stopped in actually to pick up a quarry form for other purposes, and I took a good hard look and saw all the things you just described. But I was sort of, didn't understand some of the playthings that are there. They're strange looking little gnomes, or I don't know what they're called.
Yeah, so a lot of the structure of the design was to keep all community members, all students in mind. So there's a lot of equipment there that's for ADA accessibility, for, what's the word I want to use? Like there's
All inclusive?
All inclusive, yes, thank you. So it's all inclusive, so every kid has an opportunity to play with all the equipment and everything like that. So it looks different, but there's rhyme and reason behind it. There's things that stimulate like certain functions and stuff like that within the students and like encourage to play a certain way and
I felt that looking at this stuff today. I said, it was different, but it was very attractive.
yes, it's very attractive.
And I didn't understand some of the forms of devices or
Yeah.
playthings here. So maybe you'll have to give us a little summary of what they
Oh, yeah,
represent.
yeah, I can do that.
That, I'm sure townspeople would really like that. Maybe put it on
The
Stoughton
kids will be
News.
the best test.
What's that?
The kids will do it.
Yeah.
When they finally get on it and show us.
Yeah, I can definitely do that. And one of the last thing too is this sign for the CPC saying that they funded the playground has been ordered. So once that's in and we get everything else up and running, that'll be installed.
Are you planning on having a grand opening or?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, with students and former students who championed to have this done and everything like that. So we're gonna reach out to the community and
Awesome.
Yeah,
get
please
those
let us
people.
know if
Yeah.
you could stand being with us.
Yeah,
another
yeah,
day.
definitely.
Would love to be
definitely.
there for that, for sure. That's great.
And you may want to get on the town manager's Facebook page, when he announces, he's got his own PR person now.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
You definitely do that.
Awesome.
Is that it?
Well, hopefully we'll get some good weather.
It's good too.
Hopefully.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, his PR person is really snapping pictures all over the place.
No, that's really
Keep
good.
everybody up to date.
Yeah.
It's like on the depot.
Interesting.
Oh, excellent, thank you. That's a good idea. Is there any other questions?
Guys, any questions for the? No? Thank you.
Very good, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dennis and Christine,
Thank
for
you.
coming in.
Thank you very much.
Next up is vital records.
Yep, and again, I'm going to do the update on that one too. This is the town clerk, Reggie's project, and she picked up the call when she came into that position, and oh, because it came in, hang on. It's not in what I'm looking at. Sorry about that. Yeah, this one came with photographs too. Okay, so the last time she met with us was in August of last year. And they were about to install some new shelving. And when they did the demo of the old shelving, they found that there was asbestos and there was mold. So that, she said, she expected that they would have that done in about a week, and then, they'd be ready to finish the job. And ultimately, that's exactly what happened. It didn't take very long at all. But I didn't know that until I checked back with her this past week. So she's calling that phase one. So CoFile, who was the vendor who was rebinding the records that had deteriorated over the years, they finished all the rebinding. They made digital copies of everything. Unfortunately, in the transition from the previous town clerk to the current town clerk, there was a jump drive, and you know how small those are, and it got lost and nobody could find it. So they believe that the vendor has another copy. We're hoping that's the case. There may be a small charge for them to provide another copy of it to us, but I think it's important for the town to have a digital version of what's been restored. So that will take place shortly, hopefully. She's going to report back to me.
It was just put on the thumb drive?
Yeah. Yeah, which, I don't know what else you would put it on. I guess other than a big hard drive, it's not enough material to put on a hard drive. It's just, and then of course the thumb drive got lost. So anyway, I'm hoping that's like, a small expense, like, it should be, 3 figures maybe, most. So we'll see. So, and she is applying for $20,000 more to go to phase 2. There's still some books. Let me go to the photographs. Okay, this is the new shelf system. It's pretty neat. It's kind of like what they have in some hardwares. Those shelves actually come out. So you can store, this is in the vault in the town clerk's office. Those are movable shelves that actually come out, pull out, and you can, obviously, if they didn't, you wouldn't be able to get at the shelves that were in between the two. here's some of the rebound vital records. And vital records are births, deaths, and marriages in the town of Stoughton. So a lot of them have been, well, these actually looking at the dates, these are fairly new ones. So these are probably not what was just rebounded to the older stuff. You can kind of see some of it on the bottom shelf here. The ones further in look like they've been rebound. The ones closest to us, no. And definitely some of these have been rebound. And some of them haven't. They started at the older stuff. I mean, they started with stuff going back to the 1700s and early 1800s, just because that was in the worst shape. So hopefully if the $20,000 passes at town meeting, then we'll be able to do the rest of the project. Unfortunately, that's sideways, but that's another view. Okay. All right, and anybody have any questions? The $20,000 that they're asking for originally was part of this project. It was approved back in, I think it was 2013. And somehow along the way, it just fell into, it wasn't renewed, it wasn't carried forward by the accounting from one year to the next. So this is basically to replace that money. Dwight has a question.
Go ahead, Dwight.
David Lambert had a concern that no digital images, money shouldn't be spent for that because he claimed the digital images already existed somewhere. So I don't know if any of the new expenses or other expenses are going to come out of this digital search or reproduction or what the story is with that. I understood they're looking for something, but what's happening there?
Yeah, as I said, the story is that they did scan them. It is on a jump drive, thumb drive, whatever you call it, but nobody knows where it is. So we're thinking that CoFile, being the responsible vendor, has a backup copy there, and we can just get a copy of that. And there'll be some nominal fee for us to get another copy. But the work, the scanning has already been done.
Because it obviously makes sense if you're saving something like that to have it on a larger digital storage unit, like a square couple terabyte drive, not a thumb drive. Maybe they're using the term thumb drive generically, but that's not a way to go when you're storing those kinds of records.
I think the ultimate goal of it was to take that thumb drive and download it onto the town's archive so that people could access them remotely, online. And that never got done, and the thumb drive got misplaced. And I'm thinking chances are good that the vendor has a copy of it if they can provide us.
Right, well, that would be a big deal, because if not, then if everything has to be re-photographed and re-imaged, then that's going to be some money. So I'd like to know if that's going to happen, because I think David Lambert has some thoughts on that.
I'm sure he does. I'm sure we all do.
Any further questions regarding the vital records? Okay. Let's move on. Update on Atkinson Ave.
Jerry is not going to be here this month because he has another update for his barn project next month. So I said, do you want to do them both next month instead of doing 2 meetings in a row? He said, that sounds good. So without any further ado, Mr. Jaffe.
Thank you. Paul Jaffoon, Public Works, thank you for having me. Someone say something? Oh. So we're here tonight, the project that we've been discussing, I guess for the last 6 or 8 months now, the exterior of the train station, community center. We wanted to, we requested funding for the annual town meeting in May. Turn of events and scheduling conflicts, and really to try and move this up for a big 300th anniversary celebration at the location. We are going to have a special town meeting March 2nd in the hopes that this article in this project will be supported and funded at said meeting.
Is this the only thing on the agenda for that special?
I think
so, but I
Yes.
don't know 100%.
It was something else.
I think there
We
might,
were told it would be.
What was the, I'm sorry, I missed the question.
Yeah. it's-
Whether this was the only thing on the agenda for the special town meeting.
Oh, I don't know the answer to
so.
We were told it would be one of 3 articles on that agenda, on the warrant.
I believe it is, to the best of my knowledge. I really don't know.
And I've been told that we have to get all the material in, Paul, you know this too, because you were there in the room, that everything has to be in by next, well, the selectmen are going to vote to approve the warrant on Tuesday, so they need everything by Monday or Tuesday.
Yep. And,
It's now already been submitted, so we,
yeah, you saw that today,
Yeah.
correct? Yeah.
yeah, so you submitted
Yep.
backup, I submitted the article, and
Great.
we're good to go.
Appreciate that.
So now the question is, does the committee want to recommend that the town be able to spend the money in the current fiscal year as opposed to the next fiscal year? And Michael and Don and I have looked at, well, mostly Michael and Don have looked at what our budget is, just to make sure that we have the capacity to do that. And the answer is yes. So. we need to vote
Is
to-
it all actually going to be spent this fiscal year?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes. Within a few months.
yeah, because you're aiming to open it by June, right?
Yeah.
And that wouldn't be possible if it went to annual town meeting.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So we need a motion.
I'll make a motion that we accelerate the distribution of this funds for this project.
Yeah, it has to be this fiscal year's funds, which it wasn't before.
Into this fiscal year's funds to be taken up at the special town meeting in March.
I'll second that. Okay. So all in favor of this motion, Michael,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
Dwight,
Yes.
John Lenahan,
Yes.
Bob?
Yeah, but that remains to be paid by cash, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Carl? Yes. And I vote yes. Unanimous.
All right, I didn't think it would be a tough slog.
How much?
985.
It's a big one.
And it's to do the, just to do the exterior of the,
Exterior hardscaping,
Yeah.
landscaping,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah, the CPA fund has supported the renovations that are, actually, that's why you're here. We've supported the renovations on the inside, on the
Yeah.
interior, along with some state money. So how's that going?
The contractor is leaving there on Friday.
That's a good sign.
So
Yeah, I mean,
The
it's
the
good.
contractor will be leaving there Friday.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
awesome.
That's
so
what I
they're
was
done.
told today, so we're,
Yeah, they've been moving on
we're
the
this
outside,
close.
yeah.
Excellent.
I stopped by to look through the windows the
Yes,
other
me
day,
too.
and the town manager, Paul, and the others, they said, come on in. And I got the tour. And I was given all the information I needed for this meeting.
yeah, it's
Personal
coming
tour.
along
The town manager even, if you want to talk about the caulking, how it was completed, this is a good one.
Yeah, I've said it before, and he doesn't mind me saying it. This project, the interior and the exterior, this whole building, bringing it back to life is his baby. So he has spent the last few weekends in there, Saturday, Sunday, Friday night, in there, getting dirty and doing some work himself. Just because some of the stuff, the painting, some of the to try and keep the cost down and the labor down. Some things were omitted from the specifications of what was to be done, so, we didn't like the way that some of it was coming out, so we said, okay, well, we'll just do that ourselves, and then you can paint after that, so that's the long and short of it, but yeah.
The part that I found interesting was all the wood in interior is vertical, tongue and groove. And the grooves and tongues have separated due to age. So Tom and Paul and others took 5 cases of caulking. They caulked the seams and then put a wet finger down it. He was showing me all the cuts on his fingers. He had Band-Aids all over his fingers.
Yeah,
But that's getting in,
yeah,
that's cool.
that is, yeah,
And this is meant to be utilized as a community space.
that's correct, yes.
I know we got a good amount of state money for this.
$2 million.
A grant or so, yeah, we got a good amount of state
$2 million,
money. I remember that. I remember when we got
last question. The clock, is there any timelines on when it could be repaired?
No. Like I said, I think last meeting, it's on the list, it's just down the list.
Okay.
We'd love to do it, of course. We want to do it at, someday it will be done. We'll see if we can do it within this project as, you know, not that scope of work would not be spec'd within this project. But if there are extra funds, I believe it was in the initial application, so we could potentially use any remaining funding.
I'm sorry, I missed what we're talking about.
The clock tower
Oh, the clock
I'm
tower.
sorry.
renovation.
So there's two parts to the clock tower. The exterior clock faces, there's 4, and then there's the making it work, phase 2. The exterior work that was done on the building, was the faces of the clock cleaned up at all?
Cleaned up a little bit, we painted a little bit. It's the black that you can see inside the brown is almost like an asphalt shingle type material, so we'd want to really clean it up. We didn't put much time or effort into it, to be honest with you, just focusing on other things. But like I said, eventually that will get done.
Is that a separate thing for the project, or is it like in
Yes.
addition to? Okay, so it's
Yes.
in addition to what's already been existing
Yes.
that you're working on. Okay.
Okay, so money that was came out of the general fund was approved at the last town meeting in October.
Yes.
But that doesn't cover the clock.
Uh,
I thought
I think we did put it in there, actually.
it did, yeah.
I think it did, now that you mention it.
The guts in.
Yeah. So we had a lot of, from the last town meeting the last special town meeting we just had
Yes.
recently, it was $350,000 to repair the wood and some, extra unforeseen stuff.
Right, I know you had other stuff that you
So,
weren't expecting.
But we did include in that 350, we did have a line item for, if possible, clock tower repairs.
Okay.
So yes, you're correct.
Hopefully we'll be able to do it.
Yeah, yeah.
Is that building going to be accessible anytime soon or after this project, or what's the game plan as far as that's concerned?
Yes, not next week, but within,
February, March, April?
yeah, February's not out of the question.
Okay.
Yeah. March and April for sure.
And when the exterior is done, you'll have a grand opening.
Yeah.
That's something
What's
like
this guys?
Michael is too.
Michael has 2 young.
Mike, you might want to mute.
Oh, Michael, it's Michael's hanging out.
There it is.
Sometimes it's just easy.
Trying to switch computers.
It's good, I fixed it.
The use of the community center by individuals, like to have a reception or a private party, has any kind of rates been set on the rental aspect of that?
I don't believe so. What I do believe to be true, but I'm not 100% sure, is that any rentals or temporary licenses or whatever will have to be made through the town clerk's office. So to say that I'm not a part of that is, I'm not just trying to
No, I don't.
push that off to someone else, but I just don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I'd be curious to know what does that fall under in terms of managing the space itself. That's obviously not.
Yeah, I know a little bit about it. I know that there'll be a rental, which will include a rental fee, which will include a cleaning fee.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much what any commercial
Yeah,
rental
Right.
hall, function
Right.
hall would
Right.
charge somebody.
Makes sense.
well, I think it'll actually be much less in terms of the cost, but what the responsibilities of the renter are, you're correct. will probably be
No, I didn't mean
Yeah.
it would cost the same thing, I meant the line items
Yep.
would be the
Right.
same as whatever.
Yeah, I believe that's true, yeah.
Charge for.
And you're saying you'll be done by June?
That's why I'm here tonight.
Yeah,
We're
if
gonna
they
try
say,
and get this done
if they say
by-
yes in the meeting, then the timeline is
Then we'll
June.
go.
Nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, maybe we can have that public coordinator make note of that when it's available to the public.
oh, yeah,
Tom's
public
PR.
information, yes,
He does a good job.
yeah,
I'm sure they'd be interested.
of course,
Is there gonna be Wi-Fi in there?
yes, yes, there is.
Maybe we could have a meeting in there.
I think there is
We
Wi-Fi.
could actually, right? Meetings there, can't we?
Yeah, again, I don't see why not.
We're gonna have a sign there too?
I will tell you, I will not be in charge of the scheduling meetings.
Tom asked me,
For sure.
there was a sign that has a lot of, you know, I'm sorry, Bob had asked about having a sign for the CPC. And Tom Coulter and I had discussed that. There was a sign that has a lot of different people who would put money into it. I said, which, thank you for bringing that up, because I was supposed to send Tom a copy of our template of what we use for a sign. And, you know, they're not gonna put the whole, what we normally have, a single standalone sign just for the CPC. They're gonna have one plaque with
Right.
a bunch of different, you know, that the state contributed to it. But I said, I'll send you the plaque and I'll send you the logo.
So the idea of the plaque is to have it 2 foot wide by 4 feet tall.
Okay.
A nice plaque, a nice plate, but like you said, I know that the town manager is really looking to thank a lot of people and recognize it on the plaque. And like you say, Mary, the CPC will have its,
And I'm kind of embarrassed because I told Tom I would send it to him and he didn't do it, so.
What's the all-in cost for this, once it's completed?
So it will be about 2.4 million.
Okay.
Granted, we have put a couple $100,000 in years past to like secure the roof.
Right.
Things like that, so stabilize is the word I'm looking for. So probably, all in, will probably be somewhere about 2.7 or 8.
What is that total?
2.7 or 8.
For the whole
For
thing.
the
For the whole project?
Yeah, and we got an estimate in March of 2020, you know, before the world shut down literally, that it would cost about $4 million just to rehab the inside and not really do anything to the exterior.
Oh,
So,
wow.
you know, we're pretty proud of that. And like you mentioned, it's $2 million from the state.
Yeah, that's huge.
You know, there was a lot of work by a lot of other
Yeah.
people, not myself, but a lot of other people to be able to get that
Yeah.
funding.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine the plaque would recognize the select board and contractor and.
Yeah, we have a, you know, a rough draft, if you will, of that, so we can certainly send that out.
Yeah, I meant to say that. I will do that.
Just as the money's been saved regarding that caulking, town manager said that they got a price of $19,000 to
Yeah,
do the caulking. He said, we'll do it. And that's how it got done.
yeah,
That's a nice little savings.
That's awesome.
That'll buy a plaque.
yeah,
too.
and we've done that on a few different occasions too, you know, because
It adds
a
up.
lot of people think $2 million, you can do a ton with that. You can only do what's on those plans and specs, because it was bid at 1.997, so.
All the doors, all the exterior doors, those big, beautiful doors, were taken off site, completely dismantled, cleaned, re-glued, and reassembled for $8,000 a piece.
That's a bargain.
And they look amazing.
And they are the original doors.
They are the original.
That's awesome.
So I was given that breakdown.
Yeah.
They were literally.
Dwight's got his hand up.
Yes, Dwight.
So is that 2.7 million, is that over and above the 2 million from the state, or including that?
That includes
Just
that.
including the two, yeah.
Okay.
Okay. I have a question.
But-
Go ahead, did you have a follow-up, Dwight? Are you all set, Dwight?
Add up.
That doesn't add up.
Yeah, it doesn't, I mean, if we put in more,
I was
the
gonna say.
CPC's put in now with this
3.7.
final,
3.7.
You're getting closer.
How much has CPC put in?
This time around,
985.
995.
Well, this time 985, we put money into the interior.
The original purchase.
And the
And
original
the original
purchase.
purchase.
We gave the original purchase price, we spent 350 on top of that way back when,
Yeah,
then we gave another 200.
yeah.
So yeah, I think we gotta go back and recap all that, make sure people are aware how much of the CPC funds went into it. It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
So we might.
Yeah, so that
might be
2.7 figure is a little misleading. I mean, really, the total is much higher than that, and then you take out, add the state's 2 million, so.
Well, I
Maybe
certainly,
3/7 is
I certainly wasn't trying to mislead anyone. If I misspoke, that's one thing. I wasn't misleading anyone.
I think it's-
No, understood, Paul, to make it add up.
Yeah, well, that doesn't include purchasing in the first place. The question I have is, there's a website, part of the, page on the town website, where you've been posting photographs of the progress of the interior.
Uh-huh.
I looked at it, last time I looked at it was maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, is that still being updated?
I don't know.
I-
So next time I check, that'll be the first time, so I'm so sorry.
All right, when I find it, I'll email the link to everybody.
I don't have to go, I'm there every day. I don't have to go there.
I'll email it to you.
Yeah,
Let's take a picture next time. huh?
yeah.
No, because I mean, I find it pretty impressive. They break it down pretty much week by week of what the progress is, and it's impressive. So I will email everybody that link.
Okay, any further questions for Paul? Thank you, Paul.
Good luck at the special.
Well,
Good to go for special.
I have 2
town.
questions.
Oh,
If I can, I should raise my hand, I guess.
Yes, Michael?
Okay. Paul, did you have a chance to talk to Biz about the motion?
I did not.
My concern is Biz has raised an issue that our motions are not clear enough for her purposes, so I'm trying to use this project to get her input as to how we should write the motion. And she's balking at it tremendously, but I just think there's a potential problem down the road from the committee's perspective if we don't get that in front of us and see it and understand what it is. And the second question is the historic covenant, historic restriction, whatever that we need to get approved by MHA or whatever it is.
MHC.
MHC.
We have that.
Which this money was contingent upon that being at least filed. You said we have it?
We have that. That was included in the.
I sent you a draft. That doesn't mean it's been approved and filed with the registry of deeds.
I have.
It's got to go before the Mass Historical Commission and have them approved. And there's going to be a third party, which is going to be it was going to be Stoughton Historical Society, which will do the monitoring under that. That's going to be taken care of.
This is a requirement that goes back to the original acquisition of the depot. Anytime you use CPA funding, you're supposed to put in this type of an agreement. And
Right.
when
You're
we
talking
approved
about,
this project, we had a discussion and said, we can't give any more money till we see some progress on that.
right. And
So there's gotta be something coming back. And it may be out of your control, which is okay if we get something from MHC showing that progress is moving forward.
well, let me tell you what I talked to Mark Tisdale. I said, when the original project was approved to come forward at the Maytown meeting, that seemed to leave enough time to put, well, you have a draft for historic preservation restriction. That's not the same as what's on the deed. It's something completely different. Two different things. And I did try to stress to Mark that, given that you're moving the timeline up to March, I said that, I don't know how quickly Mass Historical Commission works in terms of how quickly they can turn around something you submit to them and approve it so that we can then file it with the Registry of Deeds.
In terms of their agreeing or accepting the project?
No, in terms of it's a document that basically the town promises to keep the property in its current shape, at least the exterior. You can't, we excluded the interior. It's just the exterior that you can't, for example, tear a wing down or
It
something like
ensures
that.
the historical integrity of the project.
Right, and that's any time the town uses CPA funds to acquire property,
Yep.
which it did in this case, there has to be a permanent restriction placed on it. And because it was historical funds, it's a historic preservation restriction. And that's the thing I said you were drafted along with an application for Mass Historic.
I thought
What you're looking at is the other thing, the other part, that satisfies, what you're looking at satisfies the conditions on the deed where the town purchased the property. We promised the MBTA that we would run any improvements by the Mass Historical Commission.
okay.
But that's something separate. That doesn't satisfy what's required of the Community Preservation Act.
Well, we'll follow up on that
Yeah,
first thing
that
tomorrow.
needs to be done pretty quickly, because I don't know how long it's going to be.
And of course, the goal, Paul, is we don't want that to jump up and cause a problem as you try to move forward on a very quick basis to get this done. But it is something that's been out there. We brought it up a couple of years ago, and Tom's reaction was, well, don't do anything to mess up. I'm trying to get this $2 million state grant. Well, 2 years later, and we still don't have it. So,
Right, and that's
we
what,
need some direction there.
and that's what's different. The state grant was different. It wasn't from CPC. So our requirements are that this be done, whereas with the state grant, I don't know how they handle that, but.
Right, and we made that.
Yeah, this agreement really doesn't have anything to do with that state grant. This goes back to when we bought the
Yes.
property.
Right, and that's one of the, it was, to have that filed and be on record at the Registry of Deeds was one of the conditions that this committee imposed on the exterior of the project. So, before you can spend money, you have to have that done. So that's why it's urgent.
Okay. We should have a call tomorrow,
Yeah.
Tom and Mark.
If you have any questions, let me know, anything I can help you with, anything I can do to shepherd it through. Because right now, that's of all the things that I'm looking at least as a minute, from my end.
Yep.
That, I mean, obviously, I'm not talking about the construction or anything like that, I'm talking about, from my end, that's the biggest thing in front of us.
Okay.
Any more questions, or we done with Paul?
I think I'm done with Paul, but I do have a follow-up question on that. So Barry, just from a high level, can you just explain that to me one more time? Just have a little, we've already spent funds on it, correct? On the inside?
Correct.
And these funds are on the outside, but in order to, so we didn't need this certification for the interior work?
No, we did, it actually should have been done when we purchased the building.
Okay.
That happened
There we
before I
go.
was working.
Okay,
So it's kind of something that cracks.
okay.
Which is why it was made a condition of this project.
Right,
Right.
okay.
Any more comments? Thank you, Paul.
Okay,
Thanks, Paul.
thanks, Paul.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Okay, moving on to number 9, approval of the FY 2027 CPC budget.
Okay, let me put that up on the screen.
Pretty close to our timeline, only 5 minutes off, not bad.
I'm gonna have to blow this up a bit so we can see it. Well, thank you for bringing that up, and Michael. But I think we made it pretty clear what we're looking for. All right. You want me to go through this? This is the spreadsheet that we're using as the backup for our budget, for the fiscal year 27 budget that will be approved at annual town meeting. So at the very top, We start with the community preservation surcharge, that's the 1.5% that everybody pays with their real estate tax bill. In fiscal year '25, those are actual numbers. The abatements are, real estate abatements, and the net is the difference between the two. So what we've done is we add approximately 1% to estimate going forward to fiscal year $26, and then another 1% to estimate fiscal year '27, which is what this budget covers. So the net is $1,077,000. I can use my pointer. So that's right here.
Barry, historically, have our projections been on target?
We try to do it conservatively, so historically they've been higher than we're projected.
How much, any idea how much?
Within the ballpark, I mean, within maybe, I don't know, what would you say, like $100,000, $200,000 roughly?
Historically, we've come in well above, but in fact, the DOR recommends that you stay to a very conservative using that prior year actual, just to prevent you from ever getting into a position where you over budget, because that will cause problems. If you come in below budget, it's going to really cause problems down the road. So we've always been very conservative. For example, last year on the CP2, they reported $1.6 million in total revenue. Now that $1,077,000 is just the surcharges. That number has been relatively close. But and it's the same speech I've given every year at town meeting. We do a conservative budget on purpose at the direction of the DOR, and it works out.
Thank you.
The big wild cards, if you want to call them that, are the next two lines, the state reimbursement, which varies along with how much activity. That money comes from when you file a deed or a document or mortgage at the registry of deeds, there's a surcharge, and that goes into the state CPA fund. And we get, there's a percentage that varies depending on how much money the state has. So I think last year it might have been like 14%, so they take 14%, for example, of the previous year's local collections, and they will give us that money free. Basically, it becomes the town's money. It goes into the CPA fund. So we've estimated that conservatively. Last year it was about $225,000, if I remember right. So we're aiming low, just to be conservative. The third line is investment income. Again, we're aiming low. Last year, Michael, it was over $300,000, I believe.
Yeah, and this is another change that a couple of years ago, when interest rates went up, we started getting some decent money on our cash balances on the town's books. Last year, Biz had asked us, and based on her discussion she had with DOR, she advised us we don't need to budget for investment income, interest income. So we didn't. It was not included in our budget in fiscal year 2026. When the CP2 first came out this year, there was no interest income on it. So we went back and said, well, where's our money? We should be getting something. And it turned out to be $311,000. I advised Barry that we should continue to budget interest income, if only so that at year end you'll have that variance if something goes wrong. Not that we would ever forget about it, but it's legitimate income that we should receive. So I think in the 200, at some point in time, I do believe interest rates will come down. So we're being conservative. But I think it's worth having in there.
Yeah, we'll probably get well over that this year.
When do those disbursements come anyways?
The town books that in year end, basically. So we don't see that money all during the year. The town accumulates it, and then they do an allocation of some sort.
So they keep it over in a separate side, and then at some point they take that 311 and throw it on our side, for the most part.
Yes.
Okay. And as
Yeah,
far as
we get it late in the year.
late in the year. Okay.
The first time we see it is on the CP2, which is filed in, is it October or November, Barry? I get confused.
I think it's October, but I'm not sure.
I think it was October, yeah.
And the disbursement from the state?
That happens on November 15th.
November 15th? Okay, thank you.
The town has to file the CP1, which is
Right.
that top section that Barry just walked through. I think that's due in September. And then the state collects all that and distributes the money. It's a pretty complicated formula they go through, different rounds depending on a whole bunch of factors, all spelled out nicely in the legislation if anybody ever feels like reading it.
Well, Stoughton doesn't really need to worry about that because that's complicated math is for towns that have higher percentages, like the 3%. Pretty much, most towns are not at 3%, so most towns just get a
Yeah.
straight percentage of their collections from the previous year. So the CP1 is a report of how much the town collected in CPA funds from residents and, actually not just residents, taxpayers.
What did you say the percentage was for Stoughton, 1.3?
1.5. It's a 1.5% surtax. So at that rate, we just get a straight percentage, whatever the state decides the percentage is for this particular year, which depends on how much business they do in the registry.
Good to know.
And the fiscal year is calendar year?
Um,
Or how do they do fiscal?
That's a good question. I think it is calendar year. Yes. Well, wait.
That would be July 1st.
Is it July to June 30th, July 1st, June 30th?
Yeah, I think it's the,
It's fiscal year.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
yeah, and the other thing to remember, years ago, the percentage match was much higher. As more and more cities and towns have gotten into it, and it can fluctuate depending on how good the Registry of Deeds do in a year, the volume of transactions to generate the funds. So they do a first round, and this is what Barry was alluding to. In the first round, everybody gets money. If there's money left over, which there usually is, they do a second and even a third round, but you're only eligible for that under certain circumstances, like if you have the full 3% surcharge. So we were very fortunate. We got in fairly early. Some years we were getting matches 30, 40%. Now here we're budgeting at just about 15, I guess.
Still less than half the towns in the Commonwealth are involved in this program.
Really? I think it's actually just, last I looked, it was just above half.
Yeah, I thought they got just over the hump of half
Yeah.
last year.
Yeah, there were a couple new ones.
But it's still only half.
Yep. So
So
continuing
they
on.
collect money from every single town and give it back to half the town.
Yes.
Don't tell anybody.
No, that's part of
That's
how
actually
we
one of the
sold
arguments.
it. It had to be done by election.
Wow.
And if we don't do it, we're giving our
We're
money to
giving
other
the money
towns.
away, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
You
free
can
money, you can have it or not.
Yeah.
And this all started in Nantucket. They started it and it spread across the state.
Interesting.
Okay, the next line, reserves and fund balance. That's the amount of money in each of those accounts at the beginning of the year, in other words, the beginning of the fiscal year, June 30th of, in this case, 2020.
2026.
Okay. This line is from,
We have that roll forward.
yes,
We took the numbers. Last month, we went through all the details on the trial balance, which is the starting point. And the trial balance is for June 30th, 2025, and we'll touch upon that when we get to my section here. But then we roll forward to what we think it's going to be at the end of 2026 and build the budget appropriately from there.
okay. And so the breakdown is reservations, administrative expenses, we're allowed to put aside 5% of our annual revenue for administrative. That goes to pay me, it goes to pay our dues to the statewide CPA coalition. It goes to pay things like printing, advertising. If we needed to invite, let's say, a special speaker to come to this meeting and they had a fee, it would come out of that. The other thing it sometimes covers is if you have a property that you want to buy, let's say, as open space, and you want to pay for an appraisal, it can be paid for out of that account. Because that way, you have to do an appraisal before the town buys the property. That way you can know the value before you go to town meeting, if you actually draw a request. Okay, going down to appropriations, debt service, and again, broken down just by category. That's principal and interest on bonds that were approved in years past. We haven't approved any new bonding since, well, we haven't approved any new bonded projects since 2019. Next line, new project appropriations. That represents the projects that we're recommending to the annual town meeting this year. Actually, it also includes the one that Paul just spoke of, the community center, because at the time this was drawn up, and we had recommended it for annual town meeting, not for a special town meeting. So that
So
was,
this will have to be adjusted.
this will have to be amended. Yep. So the totals are just, this total reservations minus appropriations. And the projected balance is the net here of each individual fund. Now, the total that we have is kind of misleading because a lot of that is already spoken for. It's already dedicated to projects that have been approved, that are still in progress. They're in progress, but they haven't spent that money yet. So it's not like we have $5 million to spend. We don't. And I'll let Michael deal with that if you want, at the treasurer, and Dawn to deal with that in the context of the treasurer's report.
Yeah, and you could always go back and look at last month's treasury report, because we spent a lot of time going through that, and showing project by project what that number pretty much is made up of. There's $5 million of unspent. Some of it's already encumbered, but it hasn't been spent yet, so. But Barry, just to mention on your admin expense, we budget the full 5%, but we've never come close to spending it. I think we spent $23,000 last year, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
But this way we have it available if something were to come up like an appraisal on a property that we wanted to streamline. We have money available, or if we needed some consulting for something. And what isn't spent goes back into the undesignated fund at the end of the year.
Right. That's unlike the reserves for open space, housing, and historic, and the undesignated. Those stay in those accounts. The money that goes to administrative gets rolled back at the end of the year if it isn't spent. Okay, this is a break.
We didn't get rolled back to?
It rolls
We didn't
back.
have money rolled back to?
Into the undesignated fund, the unreserved fund.
How is it decided how much is in each fund?
We have
Is there a formula?
Good question. Yes, that's a good question. The state requires that we reserve or spend at least 10% of our income in each of housing, historic,
Each of those categories.
Gotcha.
and open space.
And then as we spend it, they become uneven.
Gotcha.
Right.
And so, for example, open space, we've had a bond for the
Glen Echo.
Glen Echo
Yeah.
since we started the committee
Yeah.
just about. And so that's why that one's lower.
Gotcha.
We've been paying it all along.
Gotcha.
Right, and that's a great question, because if you look at this, you'll see 143,000 in each of those categories is 10% exactly of the total.
All right. Makes sense.
Yep.
Thank you.
It's a great question. Sometimes I forget to go over the basics. Yeah. All right, so this is the breakdown by expense. The administrative expenses we just talked about. LTDS is long-term debt service, and these are all of the bonds that are currently outstanding for projects that were bonded in years past, and what we are paying on this year. So, because the idea is to spend your most restricted funds first, anything that qualifies, whether it's recreation, can qualify under open space. So if it's recreation or open space, it can be deducted from the open space reserve. And I tried, this one I would have had to split up at the time I did this, so I put it all in the undesignated. And what I also did was put in all of the new projects that we're recommending this year, in case they're all approved. We have a pretty good track record. You know, a good percentage of what we recommend is approved. So, and when you budget it, you budget for the, you know, to conservatively budget, you budget for the most, highest possible expense, and that's what we've done. So the one in red, the community center, that will now come off of this, because by the time we get to town meeting, that will be the previous year's budget, not the fiscal year 2027 budget. And that will change the amount that's in the reserve in that bucket. All right, any questions? I think, was that great? Okay. All right.
Number 10, review the CPA warrant articles for the ATM 2026.
Okay, can we go back to this and the warrant articles? All right, so the very first one is the budget, and that's, you know, there are two things. There's an article, which is what is printed to quote-unquote warn the town what's going to be coming up on a town meeting. The motion is the second part. The motion is where it gets into the specifics, which exact fund it's coming out of. You notice that the articles do not state how much money they're talking about. That will be in the motion, not in the article. Okay, so the estimated cost we put in, that's just the total, the bottom line, $1.43 million that we just saw in the budget. Okay. I think we went over these, if I'm not mistaken, at a previous town meeting, I'm sorry, a previous CPC meeting, where we approved the language in all of these.
I think we did that in December.
Yeah, we did. We did. So this is just, I'm just showing you the drafts. These were submitted to,
Another one up on the screen there.
oh. Oh. Sorry. Thanks for pointing that out. Okay. All right, here's the budget. Again, $1.43 million is the bottom line on the budget. It's, you know,
So that will change.
no, that will not change, because we're spending money earlier, but we're not,
2026, 2027.
in other words, anything that, yeah, we're spending it earlier, but, no, the $1.43 million.
This is just revenue.
Yeah, it's just revenue.
There will, some of the numbers on it will change,
Yeah, the numbers will change,
but
the
you're
bottom
not
line will
showing
not.
those numbers here yet, because they'll be in the motion.
And I have debated with, you know, various people whether there should be a cost to this article, because it's a budget of money that we will already have, but they want to see the total figure. Some years it had gone in with just, you know, the budget, the estimated cost was not relevant. They wanted, so I'm getting into it. Okay. And town records, $20,000 for vital records. Seaver Hill for the first green. Again, just to, if you catch Carl up with us, the first green at the golf course that the town owns is kind of cramped.
Yeah.
So,
That's why.
okay.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Approved. Killing my score.
well, Victor Maruza is
Terrible on that first roll.
It's my worst hole.
okay, well, maybe this will help.
Yeah, please.
There'll be a bigger green. It won't be a bottleneck, like you don't have to look over your shoulder, there's like a
Yes.
play behind me.
Yes.
And they won't, and it'll be easier to maintain it because everybody won't be swinging at the same spot and digging up the turf.
Yes.
So,
He's gonna try to get it in the special.
Okay. Let's go. Let's do it.
we'll say that again, he's gonna try to get on the special
Yeah.
time. Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Victor, let's go, Victor. Get it done.
This is the house.
Okay, low-income housing, this is the Stoughton Housing Authority came to us, they want to build 4 duplexes, in other words, 8 units of housing on land they already own. So there's no acquisition cost for the land. And what they're gonna do, they've got a pretty good-sized grant coming from the state, which they've already, the state has already okayed. They want the towns to also put in some money.
Right.
So we're giving them 800,000 towards, well, we're recommending that the town give them 800,000 towards this. So part of what they're doing also is they're taking currently the Stoughton Housing Authority owns housing all over town.
Yep.
It's a pain in the neck to maintain.
Yeah.
Most of those buildings are older and not in good shape. So they're gonna sell a lot of the older ones that are just scattered around town, and these will all be one place, it'll be new construction. And what they wanna do is they wanna keep the same tenants.
Yeah.
So they will have to wait until the new buildings are constructed,
Right.
until they sell the old ones. So they need a bridge loan to get them from point A to point B, and they're working on that, but they also need money from
This is the CDA project. Drake Ave.
Yeah, and there's really two pieces there too, Barry. We're covering some of the money they had in their original estimate, what they called their shortfall.
Yep.
But we're also giving them money to gain one full extra unit,
Yep, good
which
point.
is important. This isn't all just to cover their cost of what they were gonna do with short. There was one new unit on the table for the town, which is more of the money, so.
Because they will be selling 7 units and replacing with
Yeah,
it.
I think originally, correct me if I'm wrong, this was $1 million and then they brought it down to 800,000.
Yes, they did,
Okay.
yeah. I kind of talked to everybody and said, reduce it if you can, and this was one that did go.
And we have our biggest expenditure ever this next year.
Yeah.
Sorry, what?
Our biggest expenditure ever.
Coming up at town meeting. Yeah, yeah. Well, although they took the railroad station out, so we did have another year that was pretty close.
Did we?
Yeah, in terms of dollars.
Yeah, I think this is still a lot bigger, Barry. I think we had $2.3 million, and even when we take this out, we're gonna be over 3.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it will be over 3, yeah. Okay, this is another one, this is for the Dennison Athletic Complex, the fields that are behind
Yep.
the Wilkins School. And this was another one that was reduced, it was much higher than that before. They call you're probably familiar with it,
Yeah,
he calls it
yeah,
the Dust Bowl, because
yeah.
of the fields.
Yeah.
So this
Mad.
will repair,
It's not gonna,
Some of
it's
it,
not
not all
gonna
of
repair the infield on the baseball field.
no, the softball fields, yes. Okay, this is to restore a hand pumper truck, which goes from the 1850s. It originally belonged to the town of Stoughton. It was used in East Stoughton, which at the time was East Stoughton, is now Avon. When Avon broke away from Stoughton, it became Avon. But the truck was East Stoughton's, and so we have the original vehicle. Once it was retired from the town many years ago, it had a bunch of different owners, and it's gone through a number of hands. And the Stoughton Historical Society has managed to get it back. So they need some money to fix it up. We did do, just to go back to this, we did do another project, a similar one for the 1928 fire engine, which was originally the Stoughton fire engine. And same story, we went through a bunch of different hands. The Historical Society managed to get it back to Stoughton. And that was a more expensive project than this, but we did get it fixed up and it really came out really nice.
Wasn't it at the Hollering that day?
Yes.
Yeah, I saw it,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, so that was
Yeah,
fixed.
yeah,
That was fixed up mainly with CPA.
yeah. Okay.
Krisky brought it here for a follow
Yes.
in front of the town hall.
You doing?
I did. Next item is, this will not be in the town meeting warrant because we just voted to put it in the special town meeting warrant. But this is the money for the exterior of the community center.
When is town meeting?
March 2nd, special town meeting.
Okay. So youth soccer came to us, actually they came to us at the opening for Stoughton Youth Baseball. I think it was in June. And Michael and I were there and he came up to us and he said, hey, we have some real big problems with our fields. They flood whenever we get the slightest bit of rain. Is there anything you can do for us? I said, well, yeah, we put in an application. We worked with them. And so this is the cost of that project that we're recommending because currently, as I said, 2 of the 3 fields, because they were built on a capped landfill, so you get a cement cap on landfill. And then you've got turf on top of that, and it's been compacting over the years, so it puddles and they become unusable with just the slightest
Is
bit
it
of
a
rain.
cement cap or a clay cap?
Something
I
hard.
usually clay
something hardened and
I believe
permanent.
it's clay, because I recall refereeing there years ago, and Paul DeFabio was up there doing some volunteer work with a backhoe on one of the fields. He didn't hit concrete.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay, I stand corrected.
And Barry, this is phase one.
No, this covers everything.
This covers everything?
Yes.
It does?
They're
Okay.
originally gonna break it into 2 phases, and, we said,
Do it all at once.
do it all at once. We were trying to figure out a way where they could go to, where they could approve it, have it approved for partially this year and partially next year. It turns out that it's not gonna be physically possible for them to do both fields this year. It doesn't make sense, because they don't wanna put both fields out of commission at the same time and not be able to use either of them. So it will turn out that they will not spend all of that money in the next fiscal year. They'll spend roughly half, and then roughly half the following year.
But Barry, don't they have other fields that may need to be done in later years that are not part of this project?
No, I think you're thinking of the Dennison Fields.
Yeah, the baseball fields.
No, I think on this, didn't they originally come in to us with a number of like $2 million, and we asked them to change it?
No,
Okay.
no, actually, the number that we have here actually went up from what it was originally, because when they went to Concom and found out how much engineering they were gonna have to do, that raised the price considerably. But just to go back to that, they did go to Concom before, as part of the process of preparing to deal with us. So it wasn't like we approved something and then they found out after the fact that they had to go back and spend a lot more money. So they basically did it the way it should be done. Okay, this is $500 million, I'm sorry, $500,000, $500,000 for Hebrew Senior Life. This was a project that was approved, I think it was last year's town meeting? No, 2 years ago. And what's happened since then is, because of changing interest rates, because of the tariffs that have been imposed, they've had considerable increases that they couldn't have anticipated at that time in the cost of the project. This has happened to them in in a couple of projects they've been working on that were approved before all the tariffs were put in place. This is basically just, it's a hedge. They may not need this money. They won't know until probably around the time of town meeting, whether they will actually need this money. And a lot depends on tariffs, which, are changing day to day. Interest rates don't change quite that fast, but, so this is basically a hedge in case they need it. If we go to town meeting, and at that point they know they don't need it, then we'll pull it. If they're not sure yet, then we'll approve it, and they will have a construction loan closing in June. If it turns out they don't need this fund, then they'll just return it right back to the town.
But this was also contingent on them providing us a breakdown of where the additional funds were going to be required.
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
let me, and that, again, at that point, it's, right now, they don't know that in terms of specifics, but
Right.
let me make a note of that. Yeah, and hopefully they can have some of that by the time finance committee meets.
Right.
Which is coming up. All right, Stoughton Bank Lofts, this is at 810 Washington Street, that's the bank building on the corner downtown. The owner wants to do a mixed-use project, commercial and residential. And, but this particular, he came to us, and he's applied as a historical preservation project. The building is from the early 20th century, I believe. And so this is basically for the exterior of the building primarily. There's a lot of brickwork involved. And, as it says, repairing and repointing brickwork, cleaning and stabilization of the exterior facade.
Sorry, Barry, I don't mean to be a pain, but this was contingent on a few things as well,
Yes,
correct?
It is.
Okay.
We'll get to that later in
Okay.
this meeting. He had to submit a detailed budget, which he had us done. We can see whether that's adequate or not. That's later, coming up later.
You know, letter of support from the Stoughton
And
Stokes.
that letter of support from the Historical Commission, which he has now got.
Okay, great.
closeouts, projects that are complete. The original Stoughton rehab, this actually, if you see the dates, special town meeting November 2015. So that was kind of a companion article to the article to actually purchase the building. So that has been completely used up. So the town finance director says we don't have to go to town meeting to close something up if there's nothing in it. We can, it doesn't mean we can't. I think it's good to show the town that we're actually closing out things, that things actually are complete. So I put it on the warrant. The Dennison Fields, which we just talked about, this is the design phase. So the design phase is complete. And there was 7,400 left over, so we can close that out. And similarly, Marks Field, which is for Stoughton Lacrosse, Stolax, their design phase is complete. They have just over $2,000 left. So I'm asking to close out those 3 projects. And I think that is it for town meeting warrant articles. Any questions that we didn't cover already? Okay, the next thing on the agenda is what Bob had just been mentioning, review the status of the conditions for the community center in Washington Street. Let me just go back. I think the easiest way to do it is just to go back to the articles.
Bank lot.
What?
You said the community center, you mean the bank lot?
Well, I'm gonna look at them both.
Okay.
Yes, the community center will not be on the annual town meeting warrant. It will be on the special town meeting warrant. Let me find it. Okay, so the conditions were subject to a historical preservation restriction being filed with the Registry of Deeds, and that was something we just went over with Bob when he was here. Approval of the proposed additional trim painting from the Massachusetts Historical Commission. So just some background on that. When they went to have the exterior approved, well, to back up a little more than that, when the town bought the building from the MBTA, there's a covenant in the deed that requires the town to go to the Mass Historical Commission and have them approve any substantial work that's done. They did that for the interior, then they did it for the exterior, but then the exterior changed. They added another component, which is mostly trim work and painting to the exterior. And so we're sending them back to get that component also approved, because it changes the look of the building. I would think, reading the covenant that we have with them, that they'd want to know about it. And the final thing, letter of support from the Stoughton Historical Commission, that's been taken care of. So there's really nothing for us to weigh on this. They either have it or they don't. Well, actually, no, I take that back. Well, it wasn't a condition, but we did want a better breakdown of their budget, and we did get that. And I think it's in a different, it's not in this file, it's in a different file. I'm going to put that up.
You sent it to us.
Yeah, I did send it to everybody, who's going to find it here. Oh, there it is. Okay, so GPI serves as the town's in-house architect. So this isn't a quote from a vendor, this is the architect's estimate of how much the project will cost. And what we had already was, we had the total by division. And you can see Division 1. We just had the Division 1 total, we didn't have the breakdown. I felt it was important for the committee to see what each division entails. And I did send this around to everyone. If anyone has a specific question, if you had a chance to look at it, and you think you saw a specific thing that stood out that you want to question, I can always ask Paul for a little bit more explanation. Actually, the one I have is this one, materials testing at $10,000. And I realize it's just an estimate, but that seems kind of pricey.
I think the brickwork was the one that I really had a question on the last time, and he kind of gave a much better detailed breakdown of that.
On the On the community housing,
Yeah,
on the community center?
I'm sorry, on Washington Street.
On Washington
Yeah.
Street, okay, well, we'll get to that
Yeah.
next. Okay. Again, this is selective site demolition, almost $45,000. And again, this is an estimate. This isn't a quote from the vendor. So the actual, it will go out to bid, so the actual bid may come out higher than this, may come out lower than this. And this is what I thought, Bob, you were talking about maintenance of masonry. This is 45,000. Okay. 25 linear feet of rear handrails, finished carpentry, and again, that's 45,000 is probably a pretty rough estimate. Okay, this is just signage. Installing new signs, removing the old signs. Putting in electrical outlets on the exterior, I assume. Site prep, earth movement. And this is, okay. Paint removal from the painting. Right, if you go, the biggest item I'm seeing is this right here, brick pavers for $152,000 and a half, and that's, you know, it's 3,000 square feet. And I know bricks are not cheap.
Depending on what kind of pavers they are. If they're permeable pavers, they're even more expensive.
Yeah. Yeah, I think these are $35 or, I'm sorry, I'm looking at $50 a square foot. So I don't know if that's, if you figure two bricks side by side is roughly a square foot.
I think a brick is about,
Are we talking real bricks, or are we talking bigger pavers?
I'm thinking they're talking, you know, that's a good question. I don't know. But I mean, just to picture the size of it. Two normal regular bricks side by side are about a square foot. Roughly. Maybe a little less. Yeah. So, I mean, Rich or anybody else is in contracting would know $50 a square foot for brick pavers, is that?
I have no idea.
Yeah. All right, and then just painting. You know what, I'll ask Paul about the bricks.
Site furnishings, standard 8-foot bench is $3,000. That seems like a lot of money, regardless of what it's made of.
Yes, yeah. Well,
What's so funny, John?
I'm just thinking what we pay for benches over the year or something.
expensive.
They are.
They're expensive, I know the ones that are going in my neck of the
Doesn't make sense to me, but
Yeah, they're not cheap either. These are all the components of the outdoors. And even the trash receptacle, which you think would, you know, it's $4,000. And again, these aren't the actual prices, this is what the architect is estimating. Bollards, $1,000 each, those are the big pipes that you know, basically protect against people driving their car into the building. Yeah, plant some trees, $1,000 per tree, I suppose that's roughly, that's pretty reasonable, I suppose. And just a rough estimate of incidentals like lighting and irrigation, that's, my guess is that, I don't know how much they put into breaking down the incidentals to get that $120,000 figure. I mean, that might have been reverse engineered, if you know what I mean.
yeah.
Like they had a total and they needed a figure to get up to it. Although, you know, I'm not sure. You know, my guess is that they didn't get deeply into that figure. But I'm gonna ask Paul about that as well.
And what's the goal for them to finish this project?
June 13th?
June 13th?
Yep.
So March 2nd is the special,
Yeah.
this gets approved,
Yep.
and then
Has
this
to go
goes
out to bid.
out to bid in March. So go through the bids,
Yeah, it's a really tight schedule.
that's a,
Yeah, it's gonna be a quick turn.
I mean, some of that stuff might not even be in stock, but I mean, but
Yeah. Dwight?
And it added on to the signs, one of our signs that the historical commission signs will be put in there too, but kind of waiting to see what the landscaping is like when they're done with it. So there'll be one more sign, but that's already been paid for in the grant to us.
Okay. And, anyway, there's the bottom line, 954. They had asked for 985. This sheet was done in early December. Paul came back to us in late December with the figure of 985, and that includes, I believe that includes painting, which is not part of this estimate. I know there was some painting, there's paint removal, but the painting itself was in addition to this. So the painting, I believe, was for $125,000. So, what Paul said is that they scaled down the project, so it wouldn't be as large dollar-wise. And it sounds like, based on this, there's probably some wiggle room in the budget.
I just looked up park benches, and the most I saw, whether it be metal or wood, or whether it was under $2,000.
Yeah, but does that include the labor to install them?
No, just the product.
Yeah, I mean, those payments,
That includes installation.
I assume so. All is,
Well, I know the two little rain pavilions we got at the dog park were $8,000 a piece.
Yeah, I ought to.
That wasn't installed. I'm sorry, $6,000 a piece, that's,
Yeah, the.
and this is all prevailing wage work.
yes.
Yeah, that's the other thing. I think the quote that Eric got and the benches that he has ordered, I think we got them already. It's an ADA bench, so it's a special bench, it's not just a normal bench. And they had a custom match the color to the pavilion. So that, both of those things raised the price. And that, if I remember right, it was between $2,000 and $3,000 for that one bench. So, I was just making notes to myself, I just wanted to ask Bob, miscellaneous. Okay. All right, so, let's, if there are any other questions on this? Okay, if there aren't, we'll move.
No, I do, it's only the question that when we're asking them to get that permit from the Mass Historical Commission,
Yes.
that was the one part of it that's not been done yet that he was gonna work on, but, I mean, how is that going to affect finally if they haven't dotted the I and crossed the T on that by the time it goes to special meeting?
Well, you're talking about the historic preservation restriction?
Yeah,
The condition is that they can't spend any money on the project until that's done.
okay.
but does that mean approval?
It's, what it has to happen, no, it's
Okay.
at the actual end of the process. The next step is it goes to the Mass Historical Commission, they have to approve it. Then it gets signed and filed with the Registry of Deeds. That part doesn't take as long, that can be turned around in a couple of days or so. But getting Mass Historical Commission to move quickly enough to approve it in time for this project to get underway is, to me, the biggest bottleneck right now.
Seems-
So that's why I advise Paul to get working on it now. All right, let's go
We
to,
we advised them to do that back in October or November when we talked about the project. I was a little scared that it's it sounded like it was something new to them, but that's something that's gonna have to be worked out with Tom and probably town council, because, I mean, it's a legal requirement that we've been trying to get them to meet.
Yep.
But at the same time, I don't think anybody wants to hold up the project.
We don't, but we also want to get, this may.
Yeah, and that's the dilemma we face, that when we first we told them this, and it was a little easier to accept putting in the condition back in October or so, because we thought we had 6 or 8 months.
Right.
But I think we need to see progress, is probably what it amounts to.
Yeah, and when Mark Tisdale told me that they were planning on putting this on a special town meeting in March, as opposed to having it come up in May, just to meet those deadlines,
Yeah.
I said, great, but I said, one of the things you've got to be aware of is that you've got to have this historical preservation restriction. I said, it wasn't, I'm just repeating what you just said, it wasn't a problem when they had till May or, July 1st, but March 2nd is, they're gonna have to get moving on it. All right, let me see if I can find,
Mass Historic Commission generally meets the second Wednesday of each month, excluding May, July, and August.
really, so they meet once a month. Yeah, so they're gonna get that into them.
It's not the
Second,
time.
second Wednesday? Oh, so that's a week from today.
Man, it was done until it wasn't.
All right, let's go to 810 Washington Street. This is the new application, although I just want you to know, I noticed today, this one wasn't signed. So I sent this page back to him to sign, and the date is not the date of this revision. This was the original date, he sent the original version. So I have not heard back from him yet. But this is the building, nice looking building from the outside. Needs a little bit of TLC. He did put together a nice memo and narrative for this. Did you get this, Carl? I probably sent it out before you were.
Yeah, I don't think I got this.
Okay. Let me make a note to-
Please.
Yep. But basically, what he's coming us, the money he wants from us is to preserve the exterior. Originally, he envisioned a much bigger project. We were paying for things like elevators and things like that on the interior. Now the project, what he's looking for from us is mainly exterior brickwork, new windows, masonry repair. And this is the scope of the work right here.
See.
If I'm going too fast, just let me know. So this is just, this supports our goals of protecting historic resources and also preserving the downtown character, supports economic activity through adaptive reuse. Yeah, I guess we can say that. All right. These, it says details, but these aren't the details, these are the summaries. So we went back to him and said, no, we really want the details. So what he did was he got quotes and used it. This is pretty much the same thing we did with the community center. We want details, we want it broken down. We don't just want divisions in the total, we want it broken down.
Barry spent an inordinate amount of time with this particular application.
Yeah.
I think we even sent him an example of the community center to come up with this.
Yeah, I sent him an example of what the town hall had done.
Right, that's it.
Yeah.
But a lot of time on his part.
Yep. So the question is, I know I'm just zipping through this, is what we have now, does it satisfy the condition of a detailed budget? We'll need to decide that. We may not need to decide it at this moment, but I know Carl, you haven't seen it yet.
Barry, isn't this the same budget we had last time, only he split it between CPC and himself? And we kind of didn't understand how he was splitting it. It seemed very arbitrary. So we said, we'll go back and use that budget, show that it's a total of 300 and something thousand, of which you're only asking 190. Unlike what Mark had done, where he had rationale for what he was charging between the two buckets.
Right. I can't say because I didn't go back and compare the numbers on this that we had before, just because, well, I had them,
It's the same kind of format, just one column instead of two, but.
yeah. I don't know if this represents that. Actually, he did give us quotes that are coming up. And let me just go right down. Okay, this is
That's
the
the
bottom
190, yeah.
line. He's looking for 190,000 from the town, and he's gonna, the owner, well, he will supply 144,000. I did ask him also whether that was dependent on bank law, because if you go to the application, front page, at the bottom, he checked off that it's not contingent on other funding, whereas originally he was telling me that he had to deal with the bank, and that was why he wanted to get it done right away. So I asked him that question. So I'm gonna put my psychic powers to work and say we're not ready to vote and whether this is adequate as a budget breakdown. Or if we are, tell me differently. Like I said, Carl hasn't even seen it yet.
So considering Carl hasn't seen it, should we wait till our next meeting?
We can bring it up. Okay. Right?
So the issue, you think we're more likely to, we peruse this more carefully and think about it before we, or the person who hasn't seen it yet will see it, or what's going to happen between now and the next meeting?
All of the above.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think there's any rush. We have until, technically we have until town meeting today to decide
Right.
whether he's met the conditions.
Because this is not for the special, this is for the regular town.
This is for the regular town meeting in May, so we have time.
Thank you.
I mean, it'd be nice to get it, for us to make a decision sooner. I think we can make a decision by next week. This is, by the way, this is kind of a facsimile copy of the letter that Dwight had sent, that the Historical Commission recommends the project. There's actually two projects in one, the exterior for the railroad station and the historical preservation of 18 Washington Street.
And you said
Don't get so loquacious.
and you said it's going to be a mixed use type of project.
It's a mixed-use project, yeah. That's not something we really need to worry about,
Yeah.
because he's just asking us for
Okay,
money
gotcha.
to preserve the exterior. Originally, I think, if you go back, way back, he was talking about looking for money under community housing for the housing college
Gotcha.
interior, but it wasn't going to be affordable, so it should qualify.
Gotcha.
And this has already passed through planning board as well.
Oh,
Yes.
Isn't it retail on the first
Yeah,
floor?
because it's GB,
Yeah, general business.
mixed use allows that.
Yeah.
Okay, and this is just a quote, and the quote is broken down by divisions. To be honest, I probably should, I didn't go back and see whether he took the costs in his budget from any of the quotes that he has. I'm not sure it matters as long as they're realistic. This is another quote, pretty extensive, 9 pages from just a drawn window, showing illustrations of a lot of the windows.
Some of those windows are pretty pricey.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, $9 grand.
This group of 5 windows is, was it 6 windows? 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 windows, $9,700, so. Unless that's, wait, no, there's 2 of them, each one is 48.
Okay.
Okay. Some of them don't have illustrations. But we get to the bottom line, and almost there.
This was much more in depth than what he previously had submitted.
Yeah, I believe so.
Barry's been corralling applicant.
I mean, I had to go back and forth with at least 3 or 4 to 5, who knows how many times. And this is much better than what we've had. And that's the bottom line for this quote. This involves more of the windows than the other quote. And then this is yet another window quote. And when it was scanned, it kind of came out a little wonky, but I have to enlarge that for you to see it. But yeah, this one totals 16,800. That's it. The last page is just an insurance certificate for that vendor, which we don't really need because it's just a quote. So we'll take this up at our next meeting. Okay. The next thing we have on our agenda, I think we've covered everything before this, is the chair's report. If you have a report, Rich.
I don't have a report. Since I'm brand new at this job, I will simply say that I want to thank Michael for sticking around and helping us through this transition, considering the number of applicants that we had before us, some of the complexities in some of those. And I'm going to lean on everybody to help me through this as I get more familiar with the nuts and bolts. And Barry and I have a very good talking relationship, so I think it's going to be smooth. That's my report. And welcome, Carl.
Thank you.
All right, and the treasurer's report, Don, if you have anything to share with us? Or Michael?
I don't know if Dawn does, I do. I'm just gonna say the same thing, that I really appreciate the support I'm getting from Michael and Barry at this point to learn all this and get up to speed. And I know Michael has some stuff he wants to talk about at this meeting, but I really appreciate the time they're putting in with me and putting up with me.
No problem. Michael actually did the treasurer's report, which I'm gonna put up on the screen if that's okay.
Yeah, I'll do that, because I'll walk through it. And this came about, I happened to be in town last week, so I took the liberty of stopping by Biz's office, making one last plea to get some of the reports that we've been asking for, which I still haven't seen. But in the course of the conversation, I mentioned to her that we had, well, 2 things came up. One was the whole Railroad Depot Community Center, and I explained to her that, because she mentioned that they were definitely going ahead with a town meeting, and we didn't know that. That Mark Tisdale had reached out to Barry and left him with the impression they were thinking about it. And I said to Biz, well, there's an issue there because we voted that for 2027. I said, I think the committee will support you for 2026, but someone's got to come back and explain why and what you're doing, which is the genesis behind Paul coming in tonight. But I also mentioned to her that we had $4.3 million worth of approvals, and her response was, you don't have that much money. And after all the work I've done the last couple of months, that was a little disheartening. We got to talking a little bit about it, and there are some quirks, and we've talked about this with municipal accounting, that sometimes the money we have may not be available to us until they do something like close their books. And they close their books 4 or 5 months after the year end, so money could get hung up there and be problematic. And so I started digging in, and we've been back and forth a little bit on it, but the little thing I sent out to everybody, but if you put it up on the screen, Barry,
Yep.
Good news is it's only 3 charts. It's not my usual length of anything when I do this, but I just wanted to talk a little bit, on page 2, we'll show, we'll talk a little bit about the available CPA fund balances, the total CPA fund balances, which really ties back more to what we talked about in December, because historically, at least the treasurer, I've always looked at the total, the 2 different funds, the operating fund, the project fund, and Biz is really getting focused on separating the two in terms of the way we think about it, which comes back to Barry's budget where we had that $7 million in the undesignated fund. And we'll see that it's really not $7 million available in the undesignated fund. We'll see what really is available. And then just, I couldn't show you the available and the total without adding in a slide to show you what the differences are. So if we can flip that page, and this is a little different, Barry, than what you and I and Don talked about, because based on that conversation, I got some ideas in my mind about what might make this a little bit more meaningful for the rest of the group. And when we've done the budget in the past, and that form that Barry walked through is pretty much the same budget format that we have used in town since the beginning. Bill Rowe developed it. We've tweaked it a little bit in terms of the format and presentation, but the basic structure of it is exactly what Bill used to give us. And we always talked about, there are really three sources of funding for the CPC as we go into our budget. First one is the category reserves and the undesignated fund balance. And we'll see what those are, and that's something we talked about last month as well. That's what comes out on the trial balance. And that's a report that I didn't used to get from Bill, that Biz has actually introduced it to us, which I think is a good thing because it gets us back in line, or more in line with the guts of what she's trying to do. I sometimes wish she could do a better job of explaining what it is she's looking for, but we're work in progress. The second source is our budgeted annual reserve, and that's a piece of the budget that Barry walked through that showed you, and it's really the 143 for the three categories next year, and then that 929 that's left over. That's every year we set aside the budget. It's basically the budget minus admin expenses is out there to cover other stuff, and we'll see that. In the third section, the third thing is next year's revenue. So in this case, fiscal year 2027. So then the chart, which got a lot of numbers on it, but not as many as usual, I kind of tied those three categories down into the three line items we have. So our trial balance for June 30th, 2025, we had the numbers going across, 252,893 for open space, 501,378 for historic, 726,582 for community housing, and unreserved undesignated is only $1,881,900. That comes out of that $7 million number that Barry was showing us. So the total money, this is exactly, these numbers will agree with the report we did last month. $3.3 million, $3,362,753. The second piece of money that we have available to us is the money we set aside in the fiscal year 2026 budget that wasn't allocated to anything. It wasn't set into the reserves, it wasn't set aside for debt service, it wasn't set aside for admin. Although actually we do have the three reserves. We can spend out of those reserves, which when you look at that second line, we have the 115,764 in the open space. We only have 764 in historic resources, and that's because at the special town meeting in October, we approved $115,000 for the Bird Street project. This is the bucket that Biz took it out. I'm not sure we were as explicit as to which bucket it should have come out of, but she took it out of this bucket. It probably could have also come out of the 501 up above, but it kind of shows that that money is available, and the community housing is there for $115,764. The big nut was the money that was unreserved out of last year's budget, which is $752,000. So there's another $984,000 that we have available. And then, of course, when we look ahead, the budget that Barry just walked through, and these are just the fund balance piece. We'll see what that total budget is again on the next page, but the three $143,000 reservations plus $614,000, which is the $929,500 that Barry showed as going into the budgeted annual reserve minus the debt service. We didn't have to worry about debt service in fiscal year 2026 annual reserves because that's already been accounted for. That money is already in the trial balance, which we'll see. So the $1 million basically says that we have, or should have available, $5,391,000, which should cover our $4.3 million worth of projects. So that's pretty much in line with, I think, where we left off last month. I actually may have led you to believe we would have more money than that, and I still believe we will, but I wasn't focused on how much of the money was available under the rules of municipal accounting versus how much we really have at the end of the day, because in the total picture, I look at how much we have, how much did we collect in revenue minus what we expend, that's how much we got left over. And even though some of it is already encumbered, that's how much money we have. So if we can look at the next page, I expand this same chart actually to bring in what the other funds are. So of course it's got extra columns here, but you can see on the top line, the only change is that I'm showing now $305,119 that is on the trial balance. It's reserved for special expenditures, which happens to be the debt service. So that's why if you go across that line, you'll see the same $3,362,000 in the available section, but the grand total now was up to $3,667,000. And then we kind of recap what that fiscal year 26 budget was, and the revenue was $1,157,000. The admin, and it's highlighted there, the $57,766, that's not available to us for project spending because we set it aside for administrative expenses. At the end of the year, we won't have spent $57,000, we'll probably spend $25,000, $30,000 tops, and the rest will go into undesignated for the next year.
Just, again,
that question?
I just wanted to reemphasize that money doesn't accumulate from year to year. Once, if it's not used, it goes back into the undesignated fund, it doesn't remain in that account.
Yeah.
Good point.
So the debt service in last year's budget was $330,038. That number really, the 305 should equal to 330. I don't know why it's different by $25,000. They didn't set aside enough. It's not a big deal. It just means come the end of the day, they're going to have to take another $25,000 out of undesignated. But it doesn't change anything we're doing.
It doesn't prevent us
You can see again
from paying down those.
Go ahead.
I said it doesn't prevent us from paying down our yearly, or it's actually twice yearly payment on the bonds that are out.
I'm sorry, Barry, you broke up in terms of what I heard.
I said it doesn't prevent us from making our payments on the bonds.
No, not at all. And then the fiscal year 27 budget, we have the $1,430,000 that Barry showed, the $71,000 that will go into admin, $314,000 for debt service. And again, we had $1 million of that really is available to us next year as we're planning out of the $1,430,000. The difference there is the debt service and the admin expense. We can't use that on projects because we're using it on something else. So this is just showing that our total, we really should end up a little over $6 million at the end of next year, which is where I think I left us in December. So I just wanted to kind of reconcile for myself how we got to the $6 million versus when Biz was telling us we might not have enough money. In my first version of the spreadsheet earlier this week, we didn't have $5.3 million. We only had $4.5 million, which made it very, very close. And I had this panic-driven moment that I'm going to be gone and you guys are going to be getting to town meeting and someone's going to tell you you don't have enough money and you're going to say, what did Michael do to us? So I kind of wanted to recap and put it all out in front of you.
Thank you.
And that's what this is. So then the final page just kind of compares the two charts and shows what the differences were. And that trial balance on the reserve accounts, the 305,119 is not available to us because it's already set aside for the debt service for fiscal year 2026. And then, of course, out of the fiscal year 26 budget, since we just kind of accounted for the debt service, all that's left that's not available to us is the $57,766. And then on the fiscal year 27, the only thing that's not available for projects is what we chose to put into debt service and admin. So it all ties back together, gets us to where we need to be. I took the liberty, Barry, of sending this to Biz last night after we talked.
Yep.
And I don't know, I think you saw her note. Did you see a note from Biz today? Came in about 1 o'clock. I didn't see it until just, I sat down to look at the meeting because I've been busy all afternoon. But Biz's feedback confuses me a little bit. If you can find that email and put it up, but I'll read it. She says, "Hi, Michael. I looked at the report, and what you are missing is that each year, at June 30th, when the year end closes, the balance sheet values change by what revenue has been received and what expenses have been paid out." Now, that sounds to me an awful lot like the rollout that we're doing, but I'm not sure exactly what she means by it. She goes on to say, "The only time you can spend the year-end fund balance is during the subsequent year. For example, June 30th, 2025 fund balances you can spend during fiscal year 2026. In fiscal year 2027, you can spend your budgeted amounts and the amounts that would be available at year-end close or June 30th, 2026. Which sounds an awful lot like what I've been saying all along, is we need to take that June 30th, 2025 balance, roll it forward to June 30th, 2026, and then we have all this money available. And then she says it follows the same process as free cash certification and retained earnings, which, to be honest, doesn't mean a lot to me because I've never dealt with those. So my gut is she's agreeing with what we're asking for, but she's saying it in a way that I'm missing something, so I'm a little confused.
I can't.
Wanted to
sorry, I can't
share
help
that.
you. I don't know what she's saying either. I mean, I think you've asked a legitimate question, I'm not sure she's answered it.
Yeah, which is kind of how it seems to go.
Well, it just seems that somehow that stuff that's in the next year, you can't put into your figures yet. I mean, I don't know how to interpret it, not as much as you do. It just seems like the future stuff you can't count as part of what you have until the year after that.
Yeah. I follow you, Dwight.
That's all I can figure here.
Well, but she does say, in fiscal year 2027, you can spend your budgeted amounts, which would be the money coming out of the $1,430,000.
For 226 though, wasn't it?
No, in fiscal year 2027, you can spend. So when we propose our budget, we're talking about spending in 2027. Now, that gets into the conversation that we kind of did with the train station. We need to be very specific on our motions as to which of the buckets the money's coming out of. And so if we can go back, Barry, to the available CPA fund balances, so page 3. What Biz had said to us, the 985, we should specify in the motion that we take the 764 that's in that middle line for the historic resources, plus the 752,582, that's the budgeted annual reserve for fiscal year 2026.
Wait.
After we complete those two, we can go back in and take the rest out of the 501,378.
No, this is for.
The good news there is that takes the 985 out of fiscal year 26 money, which means we only need $3.3 million out of fiscal year 27 in the budget. So we'll have enough money.
Yeah, just to go back on this, it's 985,000. So that's gonna come out of historic preservation.
Yeah, but the way she wrote it up specifically, she said you should take the 764, then the 752,582, and then take the balance of 200 and whatever thousand out of the 501.
Well, you're talking about this one in community housing?
Yeah, the 985 project, community house, no, community center.
No, it's historic resources, not housing.
Right, the 764 is under historic resources.
Yes,
Right.
Then we're gonna take the 752 out of the budgeted annual reserve, which is
Oh, over
being
here.
added to the
Oh, you
undesignated.
know what confused me? Because they were both, the last three numbers were 582 on both of these. So I was looking at the wrong one.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
That's good, because you were confusing me as to what the difference is. So we take the 764, the 752, and the rest comes out of the fund balance for the historic reserve. But it sounds like she wants us in the motion to write it up as 3 pieces.
Yeah,
This is why I kind of wanted them to bring us in their idea of what that motion should look like.
yeah, and in the past, we've avoided taking money from more than one pocket, because it becomes a problem. They get an invoice in, what are they charging
How
to?
do they sign it? Yeah.
And at the end of the
Let's
project,
not worry about what they have to do with
well,
their different pockets.
the business isn't gonna.
They're the
be-
ones telling us to do it this way.
Well, I know, but,
My fear is, if we don't take it out of the right bucket, she's gonna tell you, you don't have enough money in May.
she won't.
Even though I still believe there's enough money.
She's leaving in March.
Yeah, well, business leaving in March.
Yeah.
March is easy, because we know we have enough to cover the 985.
Right, so you just wanna make sure we still have the money going forward to town meeting, annual town meeting.
I wanna make sure we have enough money for May as well.
Yeah.
So we'll.
So we'll have,
more
okay,
conversations,
so,
but-
you know, like I said, we don't really care whether they split it up into 2 accounts or 3 accounts or 10 accounts. For their, you know, sake of being able to deal with it, we had always not divided it. We'd always not divided it at all. We'd always taken it out of one single pocket. So you know what money, where the money's coming from when an invoice comes in, and you know if there's money left over at the end where it's gonna go back to. If she wants to split it up that way, you know, and she's not gonna be there when you know, when any
Okay,
repercussions come through.
But Barry, don't get too deep into the accounting, because at the end of the day, Biz is taking the money out of these 3 buckets and putting it into the 5040 fund.
Yeah.
All the bills are getting charged to the same place in the 5040 fund. This
Okay.
is kind of a behind-the-scenes entry for her to make based on the motions.
So would the motion have to specify that it's coming out of the operating fund? You may not be able
well,
to answer, because this is all new to us.
No, because all of the money we spend comes out of the operating fund.
Okay,
But it does have to specify that it's coming out of the budget annual reserve for historic resources, the budget annual reserve undesignated, and the historic resources fund balance.
okay.
I mean, we probably, when you write up these motions, you're probably gonna need to set up some time with Biz and get her buy-in on them up front.
Yeah,
Because in the past, this is one of the headaches, when I've gone trying to find out why money isn't where we thought it was gonna be, Biz would pull up and say, well, the motion says this, and she interpreted it like this. And she doesn't look at what's in the article, she doesn't look at what's in the backup, she looked at what's in the motion. And if it's not specific, then she decides where it's coming out, which may or may not be where we thought it was coming out.
no, and we had always assumed.
We've always treated it like one big bucket, because
Yeah,
we always had enough money. Now that we're getting closer, I think it becomes more important for us to get that specificity with the finance department.
yeah, and town meeting, you know, it's not just us. The town meeting articles generally don't specify what fiscal year they're talking about. I think that the assumption is everything's coming out of.
Well, but there are specific rules about CPA funding, and kind of what I skipped on this page, on that fiscal year 26 budgeted annual reserve numbers, we have to use that money up by June 30th, 2025, or it kind of goes into limbo until they close the books,
Yeah.
which again, shouldn't be a problem, because there's not a town meeting in the middle of the summer to spend more money. But based on the way Biz is communicating this back, I remain a little bit concerned that there might be some roadblocks out there for us. So we really got to keep very close to the vest with her on the motions.
Yeah, it's too bad there isn't somebody
It
else
is.
that can ask, or maybe there is.
don't know that there's anyone else we can ask, because ultimately it's her department that this is going through.
Yeah.
And I think she's saying the same thing I am, and I think we're okay.
Yep.
But the way she says it doesn't give me a warm and fuzzy feeling that we are okay.
Well, she started by saying you don't have enough money, which is, you know.
Right. And I look at it and say, but we got six, and in fact, when I say we got $6 million, I also expect that in fiscal year 26, we will probably get $200,000 or $300,000 above the budget, because we didn't have anything in there for interest income.
Yep.
And there's typically an extra $100,000 or so, as we talked about earlier, on just the pure surcharge line. So I'm very confident that the money's there, but
I am too.
Biz kind of controls the buckets on us. So we've got to make sure she's on board when we write these motions.
Yep.
That's, we can't, and the other fear, and Barry and I have talked about this, I got this fear that we're gonna write the motion the way Biz wants it, and then the moderator's gonna say, I don't like your motion, it's too complicated.
Well, I would.
And we're gonna bang our head off one brick wall, I guess at 810 Washington Street, and then we'll bang it off a stone wall at the community center.
I think I would draw,
Historical bricks.
I would redraw more into the conversation as well, just to make sure that, you know, try to, what's the word? Troubleshoot this before, you know, where it's a problem.
Yeah, we'll continue to talk a little bit, but I just really wanted to give everybody a refresher on the sources, so that as these conversations take place, everybody's on the same page in the buckets, and I think we need to Biz has said to me, you need to be more specific in your motions. Barry asked her when she told us that, can we have some examples? And we're still
One
waiting.
example.
So, just,
First of all, thank you, Barry, for doing that. I follow you, Michael, I follow you as far as I can. I think I got it. Two, when you say Biz is not gonna be there after March, did I hear that?
Biz is retiring in March.
Okay, so then the whole process will begin over again with a new person who may or may not, a similar philosophy. Correct?
There'll be a new person there, yeah? And
All right.
it really shouldn't be a philosophy. This should be pretty straightforward. There are rules as to how they do the accounting. But it could get
Whatever.
better, it could get worse. Probably gonna get better.
I mean, we've seen things come up, you know, just out of nowhere. I mean, for example, Biz told us we couldn't close any project that had fiscal activity in the previous fiscal year. Well, first of all, it hasn't been the case even since she's been there. I don't know where she got that idea and what, you know, what that's based on, so. But given that she's not gonna be here after March, fine, we'll do it her way. We won't put any article on the warrant that has fiscal, activity in FY '26, because she just isn't gonna approve it, so we'll see what happens.
So by then, John will have more experience than the new accountant, so he can tell them what to do. Just
Hopefully they'll get, and remember, by the way, prior to this, we didn't close out these projects, so we were kind of at the whim of whatever entries they were making, because money sits out there, that $5 million of unspent funds we talk about is not available to us, but if we close out a project, whatever balances are left become available to us. So it's in our best interest, and she pushed us 2 years ago, you gotta start closing your projects. And
At town meeting,
she
we were
probably
closing them, but just not
allowed
at
us
town
to
meeting.
close half of the projects that we tried to close.
Yep.
Because she's too busy doing other stuff. So, there's steps in the right direction, but yeah, that is something to,
Yeah, well, that's all I can absorb for now, so thank you.
yeah, no, that's more than enough, I think.
Michael, I just had one quick question, and in the December report, you had indicated that some of the funding was from the general fund that was brought over to our accounting, where you hadn't seen that before. I just didn't know if that was addressed or if it needs to be fixed before, March.
I don't think it's necessarily wrong, but that's the town hall pocket project.
Okay,
And we looked at the update from Mark earlier, and the town hall that project, the CPC portion was 820,000. The total project was 380. We stumbled into an entry. They moved 380 into the CPC fund, 5040. All of the stuff we're talking about on the budget is, as Barry alluded to, coming out of the operating fund 3014. But that extra $380,000, which last month I kind of reached the conclusion that that's kind of what confused them about filling out the CP2. Now, they haven't agreed to that or admitted that, but we kind of left that there.
Okay.
All that, I think that 380, it's okay to have it in the CPC fund. I think they should show it as revenue for the CPC and just say it was, the town granted $380,000 to the CPC, and then you record your whole $1.2 million project in the same place.
There you go.
Yeah, I think they just moved it just so they have one pocket
Okay.
to draw the money from, which is what I'm trying to avoid.
Right, right.
Going forward.
Okay, I'm just trying to figure it out as well.
Yeah, well, and the reason I brought it up then is because it was the exact opposite of what they did with the dog park project, where we had other funds and they pushed it outside of the CPC.
Right.
And they started splitting the expenditures between the projects so that we could never see how much we truly spent. And by the way, nor could the town figure out what they truly spent, because it started under Bill and went through 3 town accountants, and everybody was confused. I think they finally got to a good place with it, but I know Rich pulled his hair out a little bit, and then I get involved, and I think we ended up okay, but it was way more complicated than it should have been. So to me, what they're trying to do with the town hall project makes sense, except for the fact that they haven't accounted for it as revenue,
Okay. I'll be on the lookout.
which doesn't necessarily affect us. I think they're still gonna charge the whole, all their expenditures into that account. Worst case, Mark's gonna have to keep track of it the way he presented the budget to us there as to, well, did you underspend the CPA portion or did you underspend the town portion?
Absolutely.
And then they could transfer the difference back. I mean, they should talk to the CPC before they do that because they've taken the money. Maybe that's why they don't want to call it revenue, because they don't want us to think of it as our money. They just kind of put it there to make their life easier. But they did it without, this always comes down to communication. They do it without telling us what they're doing, and then they act surprised when I come in and say, how come this is here? And it's like I'm being wrong about something. I'm like, well, no, I'm just trying to understand what's in the accounts.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
I think it will work out okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not, but you're right, it is not consistent. For example, when we transferred funds between 2 of our own CPA accounts to cover the negative balance at the railroad station, they treated that as, was it an expense or income? I forget which at this point.
You call it a transfer?
They transferred,
Well,
they called it an expense, actually.
they called it an expense, but then they changed that number too, Barry. When they revised the CP2 for the 3rd time, that number was changed. So I can't even say that they did that anymore. I think, and this is what I said in December, at the end of the day, because that $380,000 was in our fund balance, and the fund balance should be at 60,000 feet, very simple. Your total revenue minus what you spent is what should be in the fund. So you take all our revenue for the last 15 years, minus all our expenses, and that's how much money should be left over in the fund, and they stuck this $380,000 in there without calling it a revenue. So now they have to go in, and so they took a bunch of transfers and called that revenue. And when that didn't take care of it, they took a lump sum out of the expenditures. And that's what it looks to me like what they did. I don't know that because they haven't shown me the entries for what they've got.
Yeah, well, you're not a forensic accountant. But even if you were, it would be a job to try to,
I don't know that you need to be, but
yeah.
all I would need to be able to say it definitively is the reports that I've been asking for with the details so I could see the entries. I would not have known the 380 was in there because they didn't tell me. So I wouldn't, just because I was going through all the detail and I saw it, wow, that's a strange entry. Because they kind of they did the opposite too with the COVID relief funds. They took the money out of us and put it in the general fund, and I had a battle with them since Biz has been there. she insists the money is still in the CPA fund, but I can't see where they put it back in. I can see where they took it out, but that doesn't mean they didn't do it. I think it means they haven't shown me the details to prove what she's saying. They just insist it's correct. So,
Not good. Okay.
life's about to blow up if we keep talking about this stuff. But good question.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, sorry.
Administrators report.
Oh, that's me.
That's you.
Let me, I'm not sure, well, there is a special town meeting at March 2nd, we all know that now, just for the Railroad Depot / Community Center. I don't know, I've been busy just trying to keep up with all the stuff that we've talked about already, so I'm not sure I have too much to add. I'm trying to think of what else is going on that we haven't talked about. I don't know, I can't think of anything else.
Well, I'll throw one thing at you, Barry. I saw flipping through the file you sent. You included the last year's annual report. Was that something you wanted to talk about?
Oh, yeah,
Or is that just
thank
something
you.
you're starting to work on?
Yes, thank you, yep. Let me, I have that, and I can bring it up. Hang on a moment.
And this is just the CPC. Every year we give the town an annual report. It goes into that big book that they sent to submit, which is actually a pretty good book.
Hang on a minute.
Got a lot of good stuff in it.
I gotta remember what I did with it. Hang on a minute. I think I can find it.
It was in the attachment when you sent out all the first batch of attachments for tonight's meeting.
Yeah, hang on, okay, here it is. Okay, let me put this up on the screen. Okay. So this is just a list of who is in the committee as of the end of the year. And these are the projects that were approved over the course of fiscal year 2025. Halloran Court is complete. Glen Echo Conservation Restriction we're still working on. Town Hall Pocket Parks hasn't started yet. And Glen Echo Pavilion and Benches is getting underway now, although there's not a lot of work you can do before this like it is now. They do have the benches. I think the pavilion is coming in the spring. Just talks about how we watch our finances very closely, thanks to Michael. Talks in general ways of what our income was. It was over $1 million. And our state distribution last year was $180,000. So since its inception, the CPA fund has contributed over $15 million to its community projects, including $1.8 million to acquire and build out Glen Echo, $1.2 million for outdoor recreational amenities at Stoughton High School, $875 to acquire and that's the number. It's not the exact number, $875,000 to acquire and restore the historic railroad station and convert it into a community center. So that's not an exact figure, but that's a ballpark figure. For that's something we're talking
What we heard.
No, I know it's not what we heard. $741,000 to create the community dog park at Cape Reynolds, although that project is still ongoing, and you're probably not going to spend the entire amount on that.
Correct.
Yeah. And over $370,000 for emergency housing relief for Stoughton residents during COVID, which at that we started that before the state and the federal government had started handing out money, so that was important for a lot of people to be able to pay their rent on time if they had lost their jobs due to COVID. And I think there was, a fair amount of people who work in Stoughton, who work in the restaurant industry, hotel industry, the service industry, others that were most severely impacted by COVID. Just acknowledging our outgoing chair and treasurer. and a longtime member Larice, and maybe I'll welcome Carl. You can do that. And just, generally, we meet the first Wednesday of the month, and that's about it. And,
Yeah, no, it's another opportunity. One thing you might mention in there, Barry, you participated in Stoughton Day.
good point.
I thought that, just, again, an opportunity to get the word out to the residents of Stoughton about what we're doing and why we're good for the town,
And that we attended the
and what
open
they're
house.
getting, as I keep saying, what they're getting for the tax dollars they're paying. Just,
Yeah, but I would also add that we attended the open houses both for the Stoughton Youth Baseball and Stoughton Motel.
yeah, I mean, we had a good year. We had a lot of projects come to fruition or very close to fruition this year, which.
Yep.
Just point of information, when it says our term expired, mine expires in 2026. What time, what month or whatever?
June 30th.
Okay.
So that's, those are good suggestions, and I can add those. I'm just going to move along to the next item on the agenda, if that's okay, Rich.
Yep.
Okay, well, we've got to.
One other thing on that note as well, I
Yes.
mean, like, they're coming up with this, on the kickoff on the 300th anniversary.
Yep.
Is there anything in there, Dwight, that maybe the CPC should participate in an event or two like Stoughton Day?
Well, absolutely. I mean, the thing that's happening on Saturday is basically like Stoughton Day. I mean, there'll be tables, vendors. We'll be there with our calendars and whatnot. But there will be future, I'm not sure about the future events. There will be future events that we're going to put together at the Historical Society. But I'm a little foggy in what the future 300s are, because I'm not on the committee. But this Saturday actually is Barry wants to come and sit beside at our table, he's welcome to, but short notice.
Yeah, well, the idea being on any future events, and it's certainly up to you, Barry, but it's a great opportunity to get the word out. We've got so much good stuff going on in town that we want people to know about it.
Yep. We have a lot of projects that are either have finished or are about to finish. Yeah, things are going well.
Is this the general phenomenon? You can tell people 3 or 4 times, 5 times what you do, and they'll still say within, months later, what do you do? So,
Yeah.
there's
Oh,
always,
absolutely, but if you don't tell them at all, then
yeah.
you can't laugh when they don't know.
Right, but if once you tell them 5 times, then it sinks in, and it's all worth it.
As the old saying, you tell them what you're gonna tell them, you tell them, and then you tell them what you told them.
And then you
That's
put
how
a
you-
sign up to remind them when they see it that you did it.
Okay, well, anyway, let me see if I can find the calendar. There it is. Okay, this, I guess hang on, let me come, I need to stop sharing and come back to it. Hang on. Okay. I basically took this off the calendar format that Michael put together for this year, and just updated the dates, made a few tweaks. We meet when we can on the first Wednesday. Some months, like for example, April, the first Monday of April, is it April?
When,
Is Passover?
It's Passover, yeah. So we're not gonna meet that, oh, there it is, yeah. Yeah, so we're meeting on the 9th, which is, I'm sorry, the 8th, which is the second Monday. And it's, just what our deadlines are. Some of them are for me, that I have to submit the legal notices where we solicit people to submit applications, although we won't have the same amount of money next year that we have now, so. I don't know, I mean, we should probably
Fine.
do it, just because people are gonna expect us to do it. Maybe we don't have two, ads, maybe we just do one. And then our annual public, we have to I'm looking at the wrong thing. We have to advertise in May for our annual public hearing, which is going to be on June 3rd. And yes, we do have to advertise twice for that, it's required by law. And, most of this is just when we meet, our new deadlines, which I think have worked well for us this year. August 15th for pre-application to be submitted, September 15th for the final application to be submitted. That has worked well. I think we are not, think back a year ago, January, we were just, it was insane, just trying to get stuff done in time for town meeting. Because we had to have everything in by the selectmen's meeting. The selectmen meet the first Tuesday of February. So that basically meant that unless we met more than once in January, we'd have to do everything and finalize it, January meeting, which, we'd rather not squeeze ourselves that way. And I think our old deadlines were much later in the year. So.
As a comparison, we only had 2 projects go into town meeting last year.
I know, it was still a crunch.
And it was a crunch.
Yeah, yeah, we imagine if we had
This year
10
we handled
projects.
10, and some of them were pretty big projects, even though we had to say no to one of them.
Yeah.
We got some good stuff and obviously a lot of money.
I'm not going to change that. I'm going to, if anything, I would make it even earlier, but I think it works the way it is. So.
Yeah, no, I think it worked out well.
I think I sent this around to everyone. At least I sent it. Well, Kyle, you might not have seen it. Okay. So we won't take any votes on this at this point. All right, I'm going to move on, if it's okay, to the next item. Which I think is on the next page. Oh, no. Okay. This is a closeout. This is actually the third version of the closeout. I had asked Biz for the balance on the Elm Street Fields account way back in probably August and didn't get an answer. So I asked Fran what invoices she had processed, and from that determined what the balance was. It turns out there were some late invoices that didn't get processed at that point, so we had to make a revision on that. I had to go back to Steve and say, okay, we revised this, can you sign it? And then what happened, which I just found out last month, there was another invoice which was way late and didn't even get submitted to the right department, and the vendor was coming to Stoughton saying, how come I haven't gotten paid? So they tracked it down, and that got paid. So that didn't even get paid until, I think, December. So this is, I believe, at this point, the final.
Are you sure?
I have no way of knowing that it isn't, but I think since the project basically finished in last May, I think we're good. So I'm going to go with it. This will be on the agenda, on the warrant at annual town meeting. No, sorry, it won't be an annual town meeting. It will be on the warrant at a future town meeting after annual town meeting, but I just want to get it out of the way. So if we could take a vote to approve this number, that would make me happy.
We need a motion right now to do this?
Motion and a
Okay.
vote.
I'll make the motion that we accept this closeout as stated on the closeout form.
Second.
Okay, second. So, all in favor? Dwight?
Can I just ask a question?
Yes.
Yes.
Hold on.
It sounds a little disorganized, lost between departments, et cetera. Can we say something like in the motion approved pending other late bills?
Sure, we can do that. That way if we have to change it again, we're already approved.
Are you,
Okay, so I'll make the motion that we approve this closeout form contingent upon any additional outstanding invoices.
Well, not contingent upon, but allowing for any.
Allowing for any outstanding invoices.
I'll second
What
that.
does that mean?
Well, that means if another invoice turns up somewhere, then we don't have to come back and approve it again. Because this number isn't going, if the surplus isn't going to go up, it can only go down.
why?
That's correct.
Yeah.
If there's another invoice outstanding, that surplus will be less.
Yeah. And since.
Right, it'll be less, not
Yes.
more.
It'll be, the surplus will be less.
Right.
Right, that's.
So that would be more than
Well,
46.
said anyway.
The
So,
leftovers will be less. Okay.
yeah,
Okay, so we have a second. So, any other discussion? Okay, hearing none. Dwight, how do you vote?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes,
John?
Yes,
Bob?
Yes.
Carl?
Yes.
I vote yes.
you missed Dawn.
Oh,
Right.
Dawn, I'm sorry. Dawn, how do you vote?
excuse me?
I think he voted.
I vote yes.
Being called
Okay.
upon.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
okay. All right. We'll go to the second page of the agenda. Minutes. I've been busy, and kind of embarrassed to say, I had been keeping up with minutes to the point where we were approving the previous meeting's minutes at every meeting. I've gotten behind, so I do have September meeting minutes completed. I don't know if anybody had the chance to look at them, but if you want to vote it, get it off the table, I wouldn't object.
I haven't.
I did look through them and they look good. And I read through them and I know we had reached the point, but with a season like we just went through, trying to get 10 projects done, Barry,
Yeah,
there's no way, and you and I have talked about it, but we'll catch up, there's no doubt, especially given the thoroughness of the minutes that you do.
I was gonna say, you do a great job with the minutes, and very, very detailed.
when I do the minutes, especially when I'm doing them for the previous meeting,
Yeah.
what it does is it kind of reminds me of what the things we discussed, and, you know, what I have to follow up on in case there was something I didn't follow up on, so, yeah, so I even prefer for my own sake to have them done more, you know.
So can we get a motion to accept the minutes?
What's the date on it?
I will make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay, second?
I'll second that.
Okay, Bob seconds it. Any discussion?
What's the specific date on it, though?
This is
September 3rd.
September 3rd.
September 3rd.
Okay, perfect.
It was the first about 3 or 4 hour meeting.
Yeah, just going good.
Yeah. So, Dwight, how do you vote?
Yes.
Michael?
Yes.
Don?
Yes.
John? Bob?
Yes.
Carl?
I don't think I can vote.
No, you weren't here, so.
You
you're
can-
gonna have to
It's
abstain.
up to you whether you vote or abstain, you can do it.
I'll abstain.
Okay, and I vote yes.
Yeah, I just want to make it a point that you don't have to abstain if you weren't in the meeting.
Gotcha.
You can.
Okay.
All right.
Anything else? Any other minutes you want to?
No, just, is any other new business that anybody wants to bring up? Dwight, I know you had mentioned the 300th anniversary observance on Saturday. Where is it again?
At the high school.
Okay.
What time is that at?
And begins at 11 o'clock and runs till 2 o'clock, I believe.
Okay.
Yeah, I thought that's the time I saw.
Love to see you there.
All right, I don't know if I can make it, but, you know, anybody from this committee is certainly welcome to attend. And, you know, like I said, I don't know what that would be.
I'll be out of town too.
But,
I'll be out of town.
okay. All right, oh, sorry. Oh, never mind. I need to stop sharing the minutes. Okay, anything else anybody wants to bring up?
Just, I don't know if
Motion to adjourn?
I'll be able to attend the next meeting,
Okay.
getting my knees.
You skipped number 18.
Yeah, well, good luck. Okay, and the next meeting is February 4th,
So, all right.
Dwight, you had a comment?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay. Second. John seconds that. Dwight, how do you vote?
Yes?
Michael?
Yes?
Don?
Yes.
John? Robert?
Yes.
Carl?
Yes.
I vote yes.
All right.